Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the 2023 World Series of Beep Baseball, hosted by Visit Norman and sanctioned by the National Beep Baseball Association. DB Dave Benny here alongside my play-by-play partner, as always, Rosina Foster. We are back at Field 2 for Day 4 of the Beep Baseball World Series. We're really getting down to the nitty-gritty now. There's only 6 teams still alive, and by the time we get into this game, there will be only 4 teams left. This is our game of the day, our first game of the day here on this Friday, and it features, we're back in the winner's bracket, the 2 undefeated teams left standing at this World Series, and the 2 teams who fought for last year's World Championship, the Indy Edge and the San Antonio Jets. The Edge have met once this year with the Jets. That was in the Bolingbrook Beep Ball Bash back in June up in the Chicago area. The Edge were a little short-handed and the Jets came out on top. That was a game that I did with Jason Frazier from Mind's Eye, and the Jets won that game. It was a hard-fought battle. I believe the final score there was 19-14 or thereabouts, but everybody is at full strength here for this game. Both teams appear healthy, and I expect a battle, Rosina, as we get set for this one.
I think both teams are set up for that battle. They were out here quite early this morning practicing and getting ready. A lot of practice with the bat, on the ground, running bases, teamwork, calling out their numbers. They both seem to be in pretty good moods. They're all jovial, happy, and seem energetic. They must have got plenty of rest last night. It's going to be another very hot, dry day out here on Field 2. We do have our umpire right now, Jason Price, out in the field discussing and conversing what is expected of the Volunteers out in midfield. We have the Indy Edge is going to be on our left third base side. They are wearing their blue and white jerseys with that ragged little kind of like a noise symbol, kind of the jagged voice going up and down with Indy Edge over the top of it. And the Jets today are wearing their black and green jerseys with the city skyline of San Antonio and the word Jets underneath it in print and braille. They've just got water at both of the team benches, getting hydrated. We did receive our scorekeeper and our ump, so we'll be on here shortly as we're getting set up.
The Indy Edge are the defending world champions from 2022. The San Antonio Jets were runners-up. The San Antonio Jets still have not lost a game this year. They won all 4 of their games and won the Bolingbrook Beep Ball Bash, and they have won 5 games so far to get to this point. They have won 6 games. Both teams have made their way through the winner's bracket, but both teams were tested yesterday. The Jets had to come back and walk off the Indy Thunder 20-19 in a game we had right here on Field 2, which was a dandy. And while that was going on, the Indy Edge played the BSO Philly Fire. The Edge jumped all over the Fire. They were up at one point 13-0 in that game. The Fire came all the way back before the Indy Edge finally prevailed 16-14. So for the Edge, who were not seriously tested at last year's World Series, I'll get into some of those stats in a second. They have been tested, and according to Kyle Kennedy and their coaching staff, that is a good thing. The Edge needed to be pushed to get themselves ready for this game. The consequences of this game, the winner of this game gets a place in tomorrow's championship game. The loser of this game will play in the elimination final coming up later against a team to be determined. And just looking a little bit at the stats for the Indy Edge last year, they were astounding. According to the official NBBA stats for the 2022 World Series, check out some of these numbers. The Indy Edge had a team batting average for the World Series of .681. They scored 130 runs in 191 at-bats. Of course, every ball put into play results in either an out or a run in beep baseball. This would be the highest team batting average at any league tournament in the era of 100-foot baselines. The Edge had 6 different players last year that hit over 600 for the series, basically their entire starting lineup, and all 6 are back this year. And in fact, the Indy Edge they've added one of the better defensive specialists you're ever going to see in Beat Baseball, whose name is Miguel Tello. You might remember that name if you followed Beat Baseball from the Indy Thunder days. He is on this team. And Danny Fapiano, who was with the Edge for the first several seasons of existence, he is there as well. So the Edge have gotten stronger. And for the Jets, they are, as we said yesterday, a short bench, a short roster, but the 7 that they have are some of the best in the world. There is star power all over this field, Rosina.
It's also going to be very interesting to see the competition between these pitchers as they are back from last year's World Series with Kyle Kennedy, who's been with the Indy for a while, and Jeremy Lopez, whose last year was his first year with the Jets, come all the way up to play in the championship last game, having some rather large shoes to fill, but fill them. He is certainly working up to that. He did an excellent job last year in the game I saw him in earlier this week. He was still doing a wonderful job, so it's going to really be interesting to see how he is growing into his team now that he's been there a little bit longer.
The Indy Edge got here through the winner's bracket with wins over the Minnesota Millers and then the Boston Renegades in the quarterfinals and then the BSO Philly Fire in the semis. The San Antonio Jets got here with an easy win in the first round, and then they had a little bit of a tougher game against the New Jersey Titans in the quarterfinals, and then that thriller of a victory over the Indy Thunder yesterday in the semis.
Definitely a good game. We do have more of the team starting to get up after they had their morning stretches and workouts. They were kind of conserving their energy on their benches. They're starting to get up and moving around now as we anticipate this game to start shortly. We do have a breeze coming through this morning like we pretty much have had all week, but it is still blisteringly hot and dry out there. I'm sure these fields are going to be just as fast as they've been all week. The bounces have really come into play as they have not been dropping right into people as they're laying down in front of the ball. It's been a little bit hard to keep that ball under control at times.
The Edge have gotten home runs so far this week from Justin Holland and Corey White. The Jets have gotten 3 home runs this week by Mr. David Smith. So both of these teams can hit the long ball. Now, some similarities between the Jets and the Edge. Both teams formed in 2016. The Edge had a quicker, higher trajectory up toward the top. The Jets finally made it to a championship game in 2019, lost to the Thunder, made it again in 2021, lost to the Thunder, made it in 2022, and lost to the Edge. The Indy Edge made it to the championship game last year for the very first time, and of course they won it beating the Jets, and the memorable part of that game was 2 Justin Holland home runs. But these teams are familiar with one another. The Jets knocked the Edge out of the 2018 World Series, and they have played 3 consecutive years for the championship of the largest regional tournament, the one I mentioned up by Chicago. The Jets won it in 2021. The Edge came back and won it last year, and then the Jets took it this year. So just like the Jets and Thunder had a nice rivalry going for a while there, now it seems the Jets and Edge, and several of those players that were part of those Thunder and Jets battles on the Indy side are now with the Indy Edge. Of course, if you follow Beat Baseball, you know the names for the Indy Edge: Eric Rodriguez, the White brothers, Corey and Corion, Nick Mulheron, Justin Holland, Aaron C., and the like. And for the San Antonio Jets, you know their players as well: Zach Arambula, Axel Cox, Aaron Almanza, David Smith, Ricky Castaneda, and all of that cast of characters. This should be a good one for a ticket to tomorrow's championship game.
We do have things starting to heat up. The Volunteers are getting the last of their instruction from the umpire. They've made their way from out in the field, third base. Now they're at first base, and they're starting to head slowly back up towards home plate. I anticipate the coin toss coming up very soon. Still light humor. They're back to relaxing on their benches again, just waiting for this game to get started.
Tough.
Do you have any early predictions, DB? It's going to be really tough on this game.
Well, the pitchers are going to be the key here. Kyle Kennedy versus Jeremy Lopez. The team that gets the most air balls, the team that puts the ball in play the most, is probably the team that's going to win this game. Defensively, they're similar. In terms of speed, the Edge may have a little bit of an advantage up and down the lineup, but they're similar. They can both hit the daylights out of the ball. They, at times, when they have struggled over the last few years, both of these teams, it's been because of inconsistent pitching. So I think the pitching matchup is going to be a key. Now, while we're waiting, want to update you on the other action going around right now. We mentioned there are 6 teams that are still alive in the championship chase here as we are on the second to last day of competition. There are 2 elimination round games going on right now that is going to knock the field down to 4. One elimination game has the Boston Renegades and the Indy Thunder. The Renegades jumped all over the Thunder early. They were up 15-5. The Indy Thunder have since come storming back, and at last check, it was 22-17 Thunder in the bottom of the 4th in a game that started at 7:30 this morning, so a lot of runs being scored over there. And in the other game, the BSO Philly Fire and Bayou City Heat are doing battle. The Fire similarly jumped all over the Heat and put them in the 12-run rule. The Heat have since come back, batted out of it, and the Fire at last check were taking their at-bats in that in the 12-run situation and were looking to take that game. The winner of those games will play one another, and the winner of that game would play the loser of this game.
So we do have the coin toss now. We have both teams up with our umpire. We've got Aaron C., Tyler Rodriguez, and the White brothers for the Indy Edge, along with Kyle Kennedy. On the Jets side, we've got Zach Arambula, David Smith, and Axel Cox waiting for the official toss and the call to see who will be home and who will be away.
And those are your captains. And while we were updating folks, I just got a scoreboard update from that Philly Fire game. They have come back in that 12-run rule. The Fire are now back in control of that game. The score I got, it was 38-22 at this point, Philly Fire. So you're getting a pattern here. These fields are dry. These balls are baked, as the great legendary Frank Mathena pointed out last night. It's like taking a case of softballs and putting them in the oven. They get harder, they get lighter, they're traveling farther because of this heat. And so that's something that may not stand out to folks. It certainly was an educational experience for me, but that may help explain part of the offense is the fact that these balls are getting superheated.
So we do have the official Indy Edge is the home team. So they will be out in the field first with the Jets up to bat. A lot of cheering over there on the Edge team as they take that home position.
We can anticipate at least the San Antonio Jets should have their normal 6 in there with Arambula and Axel Cox, David Smith, and in no particular order yet, Aaron Almanzo, Will Lopez, Ricky Castaneda. That's what we saw yesterday. It'll be interesting to see what the Indy Edge send out there. They have moved their starting lineup around a little bit this year, not in terms of personnel, but in terms of positioning in the lineup. Corian White started out near the top of the lineup this year, and then they dropped him to the 6 hole to be the sort of the anchor to get it back to Eric Rodriguez, and that worked very well for them. The Indy Edge won the last tournament of the year prior to the World Series, the Mind's Eye Gateway Regional over in St. Charles, Missouri. They won that with a 4-0 record. They placed 4th in Bolingbrook, a little bit short-handed. We mentioned their loss to the Jets there. And they finished 2nd in the Indy Beatball Bonanza to the Indy Thunder, who beat them on that televised Sunday morning game. So it has not been an easy road back for the defending champions. They've had a target on them. They've dropped a couple of games this year, but here at the World Series, from all accounts, I haven't seen much of them yet because we've been over here doing our games of the day, but they are just mashing the ball.
So they did just finish their team huddle over there quite loudly, like, whoa, what? And hollering as they now take the field. The Jets are just finishing up their huddle as they were kneeling all in a circle around first base. They are now up, hands in the center to finish off, and ready to get this game on point.
Just to throw out a few more stats about how impressive the Indy Edge were in their World Series run last year. I mentioned 6 Edge players hit over 600. 3 of them, Eric Rodriguez, Corian White, and Nick Mulheron, hit over 700. That's the first trio to hit over 700 for the same team at the same World Series since 3 Taiwan players did it in 2006. And, of course, Justin Holland is the only player in league history to hit 2 home runs in a single game.
We do have everybody loading up, finishing off the field. Set up the White brothers, I believe the last 2 to be in place here. Oh, no, we do have Miguel Tello coming up. He will probably be the last one in place. In far left. Let's see where they're going to place everybody. We have Tyler Rodriguez in his typical short left. Miguel Tello will be behind him. We have Corian White front center with it backed up by his brother Corey White behind him rear center. Short right, Nick Mulheron, and behind him backing up in far right is Justin Holland.
So the defense once again really quick, front to back, from left to right, Eric Rodriguez and Miguel Tello on the left, the White brothers, Corian and Corey in the middle, Nick Mulheron and Justin Holland on the right side. And Miguel Tello will almost certainly be, my guess would be DFing for Aaron C. and or Fapiano, we'll see.
So we do have Zach Arambula will be headed up to the plate first, typical fashion for the Jets with David Smith on deck. Jeremy Lopez is headed up to the pitcher's area, has not put on his face mask yet. Everybody's still trying to stay loose and relaxed, not quite into full play here.
Arambula is going to be a key for their offense as the leadoff hitter. The Thunder were able to contain him a little bit yesterday. He only scored a couple of runs. It was some other players in the Jets lineup that really picked up the slack, but Arambula, we're used to seeing 3, 4, even 5 runs a game out of the Hall of Famer and one of the better hitters in the last 20, 25 years.
Okay, Jeremy is now putting his face mask on, and we do have a ball tossed out from the ump.
It appears Jason Price, our head umpire, will at least start this game as umpire. Again, there's some games from earlier that are running long, so I don't know that he will be the umpire for the entire game, but he is. Here we go. Let's play ball, Rosina.
Zach winding up for that first pitch. Solid connection, a grounder over in the low left, but that is Tyler Rodriguez area, and he has that easily before he's even halfway down. As fast as Zach is, Tyler is a master.
That's Erod in short left. Eric Rodriguez, the consensus best player in the country, if you ask most people. And so Eric puts out Zach Arambula. One leadoff hitter putting out another, and there's one out. Good start for the Edge defense, and if you want to beat the Edge, you don't want to be rolling ground balls to Eric. He doesn't miss many.
And David Smith coming up to the plate. Jeremy kind of rotating the ball around the world his waist as he waits for the ready and go ahead. And a base check.
We haven't seen a home run yet on our Game of the Day stream. There's been several of them at this series.
Little tick dropping down at the plate.
Kyle telling his left side and middle to be ready. Eric, Corian, Corey.
It's going to be another grounder right over to Eric.
Eric.
He's just got to drop his body. Oh, he's recovered it.
Ooh, he just recovered to make the play. Eric not quite so clean, but the two-time defending defensive most valuable player of the NBBA, has made the first 2 putouts in this game, and Jet Life needs to get the ball off the ground. This isn't going to work.
This is Axel Cox up to the home plate, standing patiently at ease with his green batting gloves. Jeremy coming back up to the mound, getting that base check. Axel stepping off the plate, being told to open up a little. And that's going to be a strike as it goes underneath the bat by about 2 inches. Nice pop up over into center. It's going to be just past Corian. Corey going in, but it's over his legs, and he is going to be safe. That'll be the first run for the game and for the Jets.
Nice hit right up the middle. Got some air under it. Corey had a shot back there, but it wasn't a great shot. And that's the first run of the game. Jets on the board. 2 outs here in the top of the first.
Brings Will Lopez up for the Jets with his pink socks and his red mask.
Remind you again, this game has consequences. The loser of this game not only has to play later today, but they would have to win 2 games tomorrow. The winner of this game goes back, relaxes, and only has to win once tomorrow to claim the title. Doesn't get any bigger than this. Here's Will Lopez.
The ball a little bit low under the swing. Just barely underneath the swing.
Kyle Kennedy directing the defense this time. He wants Eric and Miguel to be ready. He thinks this thing's going to left. I think that's a good bet. Will Lopez was wearing out left field yesterday against the Thunder.
Nice pop-up, but it's going to be short into right there by Nick, bouncing over Nick's head. He's still got to get his hands on a scrambling, but that is going to be another run for the Jets. Nick not quite getting to that in time.
So you see the recipe for success already for the Jets. The 2 they've gotten in the air have scored. The 2 that have been ground balls have been picked.
Definitely, it was quite a high bounce there. Nick had his hands out trying to grab a hold of that, but until it could settle down for him to get those hands completely in control, he was already on the base.
Jeremy Lopez fired up. The Jets pitcher, he's only in his 2nd season, but he's already one of the best in the business.
This is Aaron Almanza.
Here's the hero
Jets
from yesterday. He had the walk-off hit and walked off the Thunder to get the Jets here.
Just underneath the swing.
He came up as the first batter in the bottom of the 6th and hit pretty much a no-doubter.
Nice line drive. Oh, it bounced off Nick's knee. He's going to have to run for that. It's way out of there. He is easily safe. That's going to give the Jets 3.
That was scorched, and you know what? Nick was in the right position, and that's frustrating. That's unfortunate. It hit him and bounced too far away for anybody to do anything about it. 3 runs in, and all of a sudden, after 2 ground balls, we got 3 runs in, and this is looking like a good inning potentially for the Jets. Now Castaneda, who was a pain in the Thunder's butt yesterday.
He did wonderful. Yeah, that was bounced right off of Nick's knee, went far outside of first base, a good 30, 40 feet. There was no way he was going to get that before Aaron got to base. Again, this is Little Ricky with his unusual bat hold. Clear up against his body with the bat almost to the ear. He's getting a little nick on that as he comes through, and it drops down to home plate.
1 strike. Play.
Castaneda joined the Jets in 2019, and he didn't start that year.
Getting another repeat, a little tick on there.
He didn't start initially. They worked him in, and by 2021, because he's just such a great player,
This time over the bat by about 2 inches.
he cracked their starting lineup. Lopez working quickly here.
Jeremy stepping back a little bit.
Kyle telling Nick and Corian to be ready this time.
And that is going to be an out.
First
That will be
strikeout.
3 for the Jets, sending them into the field as the Edge come jauntily in from the field for their first at-bat.
So 3 for the Jets in the top of the first, fair enough. Every ball that they hit hard, they scored on. And now we're going to see the high-flying world champion Indy Edge offense led by Eric Rodriguez and Justin Holland and all of the other usual suspects.
So we have Tyler over at the batting circle, putting his mask on. That is Eric.
That is Eric.
And putting his gloves on, a little stretches as he gets his head ready for kind of popping up and down on his toes with the energy he doesn't want to waste, but you don't want to hold too much of it in to make those. I don't think Tyler's going to make any rash calls there, but Kyle coming back out to the pitcher's mound for a couple tosses there. Tyler casually walks up to home plate.
Eric and Tyler were teammates for about 4 or 5 years with the Thunder. Tyler Rodriguez moved on and doing great things for the BSO Philly Fire now. And so Erod, Eric spelled with a K, E-R-I-K, coming up.
Very Viking-ish.
Yes, it is. And he is one, too. He plays the game that way. He swings like he's trying to kill something, and he runs like something's trying to kill him.
He's stepping Eric up to home plate, a quick brush with his gloves at the front edge. Getting that base check first and third. A quick nod of the head from Eric to Kyle. He's going to catch that, but it's going to roll foul over to Jason Price.
One strike. Play.
Eric can hit to all fields, too.
And that's going to be underneath the swing, about 2 inches.
Ooh. He was pretty low on that. And this is why we said pitching is going to be a key. When Kyle's on, he's on.
Taking a pass, clapping his thigh.
And that's an Indy Thunder trick. And that's where he learned to do that. And he claps his thigh to indicate timing to his pitcher. He knows when the ball's coming.
Nice high pop-up. It's going to be into right.
Just landed.
Oh, David Smith going for it. And he...
Oh, did he gun him?
He might have gotten him. I believe that will be an out.
What a play. That was in the air for an ever over on the right field side.
David Smith over there ready for it when it came down. Hustled and got it in his hands quickly.
Smith on Rodriguez, 1 out, and that was a hanger. I didn't think he had a prayer. It hit the ground. He had about 2 seconds to make the play, and he made it.
This will be Nick Mulhern up for the Jets, wearing a silky baby blue head covering and purple socks.
He was the Rookie of the Year in 2018, and by 2019 he was an all-star. He has been close to the top of the batting list at the World Series every year he's played. And he has not hit a home run at the World Series, but he did hit one in Bolingbrook last year.
It's going to be a foul over on the tents of the Jets to our right.
Okay, so Eric went to right field, and that first swing was a foul ball off to the right side. Let's see if this is intentional, or let's see if they're just a little slow getting around on Kyle. These are right-handed hitters that, so far, are going opposite field. Maybe want to keep the ball away from Zach and Axel. We'll see.
Just barely nicking that and it dropping down.
Mulheron's one home run of his career
He's going to be taking a pass here.
was against the Jets.
That come on man from the Jets bench. And ready for the pitch. Very high pop-up over into left. It's going to be behind
Just
Zach.
landed.
It's going. Will Lopez is going for it, but he is already safe. That is going to be a run for the edge.
That was another hanger. That was up forever over on the left field side. And those runs are usually going to score with a fast team like this. Edge on the board. 1 out, 1 in. Bottom of the first. 3-1 San Antonio.
This will bring Corey White up to the plate.
And we could talk about his accolades all day. Corey White, 2021 offensive MVP in Wichita. And, of course, he probably had the most famous swing in beat ball history that year.
Defense has moved David Smith from the center over to center left.
And that makes sense. He's a pull hitter.
Oh, and it's going to be foul over the Jets on the right.
He was late. I still say he's a pull hitter. He was just late on that. Corey's power is to left center, and he has it. Corey has hit a home run at this World Series. He did it on Tuesday. There's been more home runs by far at this series than there ever has been before. Christian Thaxton hit one yesterday, and somebody hit one this morning. I don't have a name on it yet.
Getting some instruction on foot placement from Kyle. It's going to be another foul over almost to the cameras past the Jet bench on the right.
He's still not getting around on it. Because with Corey, I don't think, and I'm not Kyle Kennedy, and it's easy to say sitting back here from behind the microphone, but I don't try to place the ball with Corey. He may have the best combination of power and speed of any player in this tournament. And so, I just pitch to his power and, hit it either through them or over them, because he can do both. I don't mess around with him here.
Taking that pass.
And you've seen when they've gotten to 2 strikes so far, each of the first 3 batters have taken one.
It's going to be a little grounder out into center, right where they had moved David from. Oh, they're tripping over one another. They would have had that. That is a shame. That was Zach Arambula running over from far left, but so was Ricky Castaneda. Zach had stopped it with his feet and turned around. It had kind of bounced off his feet a little bit. Ricky trying to grab it, and that was just not enough in time.
Miscommunication, zone discipline. There's nobody in the middle, so they're taught to cross over at different depths, but they got to talk to each other because if you both cross over, you can get into one another. And that was a gift of a run there for the Edge. It's 3-2 now.
With Justin Holland at the plate with his colorful camouflage sleeves of a red, white, and blue.
Justin got tired of hearing about David Smith hitting home runs this week, so he decided to join the party yesterday.
It's going to be a strike as that drops under the bat.
And something was wrong with Kyle there because his cadence was delayed and the pitch just wasn't there, and he immediately said, all me.
It's going to be a short little pop-up. Let's see if it's good. It is bouncing fair. Ricky right up
Ricky's
there
got
on
that.
top of that, and he is out.
Yep, that's solid.
Wonderful job of Ricky there.
Didn't get enough air, didn't get enough distance, and they plopped it in front of Castaneda, and he was all over that ball.
And here is Aaron C. up to bat.
Here's your designated hitter, Aaron C. He's in the 5-hole here. Jets still lead 3-2, and there's 2 outs now in the bottom of the first in this winner's bracket final. Winner on to the World Series championship tomorrow.
Digging his toes in there. If we get that base check. Has a white headband over his head.
First base again. Thank you. Play.
Aaron's saying, all right, he is ready to go.
He started in 2020.
Oh, that was a late swing there.
None of the starters in the Edge lineup today were in the Edge lineup when they began their team in 2016. This is a totally rebuilt team.
Getting a nice little grounder on that to Ricky. Past Ricky.
Ooh.
We're going to see if Aaron can make that up. They're not going to get it in time. That is going to be a run tying it up for the Edge.
And that is the sore pocket, if you will, of the Jets defense sometimes. If the ball rolls past Ricky and it's over on that side, there's quite a bit of room back there.
There was a big pocket there in the center since they had Dave. They're moving David back to the middle. That had gone on the inside of Ricky. Aaron rushing over to make up a little more space, but not in time. Aaron is no slouch. This brings Corian White up to the plate.
Comes Corian White. All he did at last year's World Series was bat .727, but he was struggling earlier this year, so they dropped him to the 6th spot in the lineup. And it's just, how would you like to have Corian White batting 6th in your lineup? It's unbelievable.
Getting a redo on first.
Corian White missed the Thunder's first championship season, but then he was there in 17, 18, 19, 21, and then with the Edge last year.
It's going to be a line driver right over to the camera again.
Fouled it off. So Corian White has not had a season as a beat ball player where he has not won a world championship. 4 with the Thunder and then last year with the Edge. Pretty good way to start out your career. 5 seasons, 5 championships.
Slow exhale as he brings the bat back up on his shoulder. This is going to be a pass. And a slight nod of his head as he hears that go across the plate.
Corian, the younger of the 2 White brothers.
Getting another grounder over there. Zachariah bouncing off his elbow as he lays down an axle over there, but the Edge is going to take the lead there. Not quite fast enough. That ball just bouncing over Zach's elbow, and you can see a little frustration there as he stands up with his hands on his hips.
Did you see how fast Corian got down there to that third base bag? You know, it's interesting to sit and listen to the White brothers argue about which one is faster. They're both probably in the top 5 as far as raw speed to the base, and he beat that out simply.
Bringing Eric back up to the plate.
Eric was robbed in his first at-bat by David Smith over there. Eric almost had a home run yesterday, too, they said.
High pop-up. That's going to be foul over on the Edge side, dropping down to their 10s. Slowly walking back to home plate. Not phased one bit. Kyle coming back over to the mound from the ball retrieved from the bench.
1 strike. Wait.
Quick nod.
Set.
And that's going to be a strike as it drops just under his bat by about 1.5 inches.
Oh, he had a cut there, man. You heard that whoosh from all the way back here at our table.
Solid thunker over into far right. Will Lopez is going to have to run and throw for that, but will he have it in time? No, he will not. It also rolled just past his hands. That's going to add up another run for the Edge as they start to pull away.
Yeah, the Edge are starting to find a rhythm, and this is what happens when you miss one ground ball and give them an extra out. Here they come now. They've got 5 in the inning. It's 5-3, and you got to deal with there just is no breaks in this Edge lineup. Here's Mulherrin.
Nick Mulherrin. In addition to his purple socks, he also has purple and gold on his shoes and purple batting gloves. I'd say it's a fair call to say he likes the color purple. A purple wrap on his bat. Lifting it up to get a good grip and pulling it back at the ready. And just underneath the swing by about 2 inches. Moving his feet forward toward the pitcher just a hair. Good solid line drive right over into left, just past David. Aaron running for that, but again, too much, too late.
It's not going to happen. That ball was a screamer, and on these fields and with these balls in these conditions, that's as good as a high-hanging pop-up because it just got by all of them. And with the speed, once it gets by the last line of defense, there's no way, unless somebody misses a base or something, that you're going to put out any of these edge players. There is nobody in this lineup that runs under a 6-second base. So you got to keep it in front of you as best you can.
So we have the Edge have doubled the Jets' runs now. We get that base check for Corey White. Quick pendulum swing, bringing the bat up to the ready. And it's going to be a little low and on the outer edge of his bat. Going to take a pass here.
Pass. One ball, one strike.
Regripping of the bat. Stepped back just a hair. Opened back up to the pitcher. It's going to pop right back into the catcher's mitt. Wicked twisty spin on it.
Kyle's got a good pace right now. He's working quickly, but not too quickly. No strikeouts in this inning.
One ball, two strikes.
Putouts by Smith and Castaneda, and 6 runs.
It's going to be a barely there little grounder
Better
up short.
charge
Ricky
that.
has to get up there quicker though, and he's out past it. And Corey plowing into that base quickly.
You have to be clean. You only get one shot. Ricky had a long way to come there, and it was a foot race with Corey White, and you're not going to win many of those. Again, though, ground balls. When the Edge give them to you, you've got to try to make the play. But that's tough, you know. They bang, 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 and then Corey just dinks one in right there over the 40-foot line, changing things up a little bit. It's 7-3, and I'll tell you, the Jets have some firepower, but they need to get this last out and get in.
They need to knuckle in on the defense so they can have that option. We do have Justin Holland up at the plate. Quick adjustment of his baseball cap and as he prepares for the pitch.
Holland, a Carolina native, he started his career with the Athens Timberwolves under the late Roger Keeney, and then played with the Atlanta Chaos for a couple years and over to the Indy Edge.
Quick shrug of the shoulders, bat up at the ready. Going to be a little grounder over to the Jets bench. Kyle let him know he just needs, they're going to move that into place to stay where he is at.
You know, Kyle Kennedy and Jeremy Lopez both learned under the tutelage of Hall of Famers. Of course, Kyle was a Jared Woodard understudy, and Jeremy Lopez is a Kevin Simpson pupil, and it shows.
And that one's going to be a little under the swing by about 2 to 3 inches. I think he's going to take a pass right here.
Good call, Rosina.
Bat back up and at the ready to dig in. And that's going to be a strike as it again drops right under the swing.
Haven't seen a lot of 3-strike pitches here from Kyle. He's been hot here early in the count.
Exhale from Kyle.
Jets are a pitch away from getting out of this.
And just ticking onto that as it drops down. Justin shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Bat out in front and now up over the shoulder. And that is going to be the strikeout right there that brings the Jets back in.
So 7 runs in the inning for the Edge. Jets coming back up to bat. It's a 7-3 ball game. And now the San Antonio Jets did not play in this Winners Bracket Friday final last year. If you recall, they had to take the long way back after dropping a quarterfinal game to Austin. So it was actually the Austin Blackhawks and the Indy Edge that played in this game. And then the Jets and Edge met in the championship game. The Jets were in that game for about the first 3 innings or so, and then the Edge just unloaded on them. And so they want some revenge here. They got a little taste of revenge up in Bolingbrook, Illinois, in June, but, you know, the Edge were without Nick Mulheron. Corey White got hurt and came out of their game, and it was a close game when that happened, and that sort of turned things around. They didn't have Miguel Tello either, so it was a little bit of a different team, but still, a win's a win, a championship's a championship, and the Jets captured that.
We do have the Edge setting back up. Same defense as last inning as they move into place. Going to start off again at the top for the Jets with Zach Arambula. Jeremy already in possession of the ball, waiting for the all-ready from the field. We do have a sound off. The field is not quite ready.
Now, they do an interesting defensive count-off. Rather than each player counting off, they all just say one, which is very interesting to me. The purpose of that count-off is for all the players to be able to let each other know where they are because they can't see one another.
A hard line drive over into right. It is past everybody, past Nick and past Justin Holland, slamming into first base. Zach letting them know that they are not out of this game.
Good start for the Jets in the top of the second. Arambula went oppo there, changed things up a little bit, got it through, and it's 7-4. It's going to take some runs to win this game, Rosita.
It will, but if anybody can do it, there are some powerhouse hitters there and very quick on their feet.
I was joking, first to 20 yesterday, and Thunder and Jets, and it was 20-19. I'm going to say first to 30 in this game.
And Jeremy tossing the ball back and forth, hand to hand, as David Smith gets a base check. And a little bit high over the bat. Jeremy telling him stay right there. David with his Jet Life green cleats.
He's already set the record for home runs in a single series.
And it's going to be a short little pop-up over into right. Is it going to stay? Nick Mulheron rushing for it, and he is safe. It bounced over Nick's body, flipped over to get it, but again, there is some speed here, and you can't mess around. Putting another run up for the Jets, David Smith.
That was just a short pop-up, but it hung up for a while, and then it bounced, like you said. It's 2 in already. 7-5 now. Here come the Jets.
And this is Axel Cox up at home plate. Very relaxed appearance. Stepping back off the plate. Good grip. Bat up behind. And just barely skimming over the top of the bat. Nice line driver over into just center of right. Past Miguel Tello, though, and plowing airplane style into first base, giving the Jets another run. Only a 1-run deficit now with Will Lopez coming up to the plate.
This is a Jet Life rally going on right now. 3 to start the inning. And I wanted to touch back on, we had compared a little bit. I'm going to do a contrast here between these two teams. We had talked about none of the Edge starters today were on their team when they formed in 2016. The Jets are pretty much the opposite. Aaron Almanza, Zach Arambula, Axel Cox were all on the original Jets team. David Smith and Will Lopez joined a year later in 2017, and then Castaneda came along in 2019. So these are all original Jets. They haven't been anywhere else other than the two Zach and Axel played for Austin before San Antonio formed, won a couple championships there. So that's the difference. The Edge have rebuilt theirs totally. The Jets have pretty much hung on to what they've had.
Jeremy holding up the ball for the outfield to make sure they can hear the ball as Will gets a base check, twisting a few rotations with the bat before bringing it up onto his shoulder.
Here's El Caballo, the dark horse of San Antonio, they call him, Will Lopez.
And just underneath the outer portion of his bat.
Will Lopez was banging yesterday. He scored a few runs, and he would have scored a couple more if it hadn't been for Zach Buehler.
Just barely ticking as it comes across, skimming the bottom of the bat. hard pop up over into left. It is past
Tello.
Eric. It's going to be into Tello, but he hasn't even hit the ground, basically. And Will is at the base.
A lot of
Tying
speed
that up.
there. Nice pop and a lot of speed. And just like that, 4 in a row to tie it, 7-7.
Will tearing off his face mask and slapping a high five with pitcher Jeremy Lopez as he comes running into the bench, jazzing up the Jets. They are renewed and ready to go with Aaron.
Jeremy Lopez is feeling it.
Getting a new ball into play. Asking the outfield if they are good with that as he holds it up for them to hear. A little bit of movement out there, moving Corey back just a little bit further behind his brother. Quick tap and ground in front of home plate as Jeremy corrects a foot stance. And just underneath the ball, a strong whoosh of air there. Hard hit over into left. Miguel is going to have to run for that as Aaron goes over to... And he is called safe. That was close. That was split seconds. That was
Miguel.
a safe call. Miguel running quite a ways for that, but not quite fast enough.
Tello got on his horse, and Tello plays close, but yeah, he had to go a long way there.
And you wouldn't think it to look at Aaron. He's a stringy, wiry kind of guy, but he can really put that ball into play.
He does. He has deceptive upper body power. And, you know, these guys, a lot of them are multi-sport athletes. Either they play goal ball, or a lot of them, Aaron included, do CrossFit training. And these are athletes in peak condition that work year-round here for the Jets, and really for the Edge, too. The Edge have the youth factor a little bit. But when you got CrossFit trainers like Arambula, Smith, Almanza, you got Will Lopez, who plays goal ball, Ricky Castaneda's a USABA national team soccer player. They're all working off season.
Speaking of that dual sport Castaneda, he's up at the plate now, casually tapping the bat at ease with his foot, waiting for the outfield setup, as it looks like Jason Price is out confirming with our volunteers out in the field. Now he's going to be running over. I think they're confirming that safe call.
And they should. I'm the biggest Tello fan you're ever going to find out there, but he didn't get him out on that play, I don't think. He just made it close.
It was very close.
He got on his
He
horse.
was slamming into that base.
And you know, the interesting thing about Miguel Tello was he came up playing short on the right field side. He was Eric Rodriguez's tandem partner for several years with the Thunder. And then when they didn't have...
Maintaining the safe call.
And then when they didn't have Bueller in 2021, because he was training for the Paralympics, you remember, they moved Tello out to deep left, and he just broke the Jets' heart in that championship game.
The Jets do have that one-run lead as Ricky wants another call on first.
Yeah, they've sent 5 to the plate, and they've scored all 5. They're trying to complete one trip through the order scoring here with Ricky.
And it's a little high over his bat.
Ricky struck out his last time up. He's the only strikeout so far for Jeremy Lopez.
Ball just underneath the swing.
The Jets do have an ace in their hole, Lupe Perez.
Just underneath the swing again.
We haven't seen Lupe in any games for the Jets that we've covered, but he is sitting there on the bench, and so if one of these guys are not clicking, and there it is, like
that. That is going to be the strikeout for Little Ricky.
Well, that ends the run at 5 in a row, but that's only the first out. But more disconcerting is that's 2 strikeouts now in the game for Castaneda. And, you know, again, if one of them's scuffling a little bit in a game like this, you wonder if they'll call in Lupe.
So this does bring Zach back up to the plate. We have Nick Mulhern turned around so he can adjust his blindfold. When the outfield is turned around like that, that lets the umpire know that there is a correction being made on the blindfold.
Arambula is 1 for 2. He grounded out to Rodriguez once and then scored opening up this inning. He's the one who started all this drama here in the second. 5 runs in, 1 out.
Going to be a solid little grounder. It's going to get past Eric, and absolutely not. Scooping that up easily. That is going to be another out for the Jets. You're not going to get past Eric very often. That will be a very, very rare occurrence.
No, he'll lock down that short left field side, and he will also lock down out to the deeper level the left field line. Eric Rodriguez takes that Z angle, and by that I mean back and toward the line. He didn't have to do it there, but you'll see it. And he does it as well as anybody, frankly, that I've ever seen.
David Smith getting first and third base check.
You asked for a prediction earlier. How about I predict somebody hits a home run in this game? We haven't had one yet on our
It's going
stream.
to be over foul to the first base side, just past the camera tent. Somebody will hit a home run.
Somebody will hit a home run. I don't know which somebody, but there's plenty
Quite
of
a
somebody.
prediction.
Well, you know, of all the home runs that have been hit, we've missed them all.
We haven't got
none of
any
them
on our
here.
streams.
We've called Jets, Thunder, Boston. We've had Bayou City. We've had
Chicago,
teams.
but
Chicago.
he
We've
did
had
not,
teams that can do it.
But not on our watch.
Nope.
I would love to see one in this game and then again tomorrow. Strong exhale there. David Smith. And just a hair early and catching that as a tick on the bat. Yellow grip on his bat. There, oh, the strong whoosh of that right over the top of the ball. There was massive power in that swing. Definitely don't want to be on the receiving end if that gets thrown. Just dropping down straight with that foul.
I don't think he'll lose a bat, although waiting for this game to start, Kyle Lewis lost one for the Indy Thunder. He let one go, which is unusual.
Just over the top that will strike out the Jets. They only have that 1-run lead. Not sure if that is going to do it unless they can buckle down on defense as the Edge comes in for another rate at bat. And last time they were up, they put 7 runs on the board.
So a 5-run inning there for the Jets isn't bad, although the first 5 batters scored, and then it fizzled out a little bit after that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And we'll see about some defense here and see if the Jets can make some plays. The Edge are going to get enough of their runs on balls that just can't be fielded. Let's see the Jets try to tighten it up a little bit here.
Jets are making their way out onto the field. We will have one more at bat here at the Edge, up at bat right now, before we have that 5-minute hydration break. Little bit of Kyle Kennedy and catcher and Aaron C. and umpire Jason Price up at home plate there as we wait for the setup out there, getting a count off and sound off in the field. Looks like we might just about be ready in the field. Same defensive set. Again, this is Aaron C. for the Edge. Got our base check. It's got some blue batting gloves, red, white, and blue bat grip. And a little high over that swing by about 1.5 inches.
It appears that the Indy Thunder have defeated the Boston Renegades to survive and advance. The Renegades just ran out of gas. That's what it looked like happened there.
And a little on the farther outside edge of that bat.
So it appears, barring a major comeback by Bayou City, that it will be the Thunder and the Philly Fire, with the winner playing the loser of this game.
Taking a pass on that. A quick little exhale there before bringing the bat back up to the ready. And it's going to be a short little thunker, short into left. Let's see if Zach can grab that. He does. Zach Rambula with a put out on Aaron C. coming up to grab that grounder.
Same rule applies, really, as it does with Eric Rodriguez. That's not where you want to hit it. Zach Arambula, we've seen him in so many big games, have big defensive games to keep his team in it. And there's one out now, and that's an important out to start off with here.
Do have Corian White here up at bat. He was getting a little close head-up instruction there from Kyle Kennedy before Kyle turns to go back ready for the pitch. Just barely slicing the edge off of that ball as it drops down.
Corian scored a big one to turn the lineup in the first.
Short pop-up at that. I believe that's going to be right over the edge's bench. It surely is. Just missed their tents.
He was early on that one.
And definitely going to need a new ball that has stopped beeping, or dead ball as we like to call. That is Braden Rodriguez, who is catcher for the Edge. And have a new ball in. Not sure on the sound of that. Yep, that was a reject almost instantly on the sound.
And they're already calling for more balls there at field 2. We're getting down toward the end of the tournament, so we're getting down toward the end of the supply of balls, although they have held a certain number out for the championship game tomorrow, so have no fear. The best balls are still yet to come.
Corian stepped back off the home plate as we have a few practice tosses with this new ball. Coming back up to home plate in his pink cleats. Right up, that ball has died now. Short-lived, so we're going to get another one.
That is not the best ball in the world. Let's see if they even want to use it. They're going to use it. I have another prediction to make. This ball's not going to last long.
It won't last long.
There's already a slight tick before the beep, which indicates a really hard hit is probably going to knock it out. We'll see, though.
Again, this is Corian White. That base check. Taking a pass on this ball as it comes across. Winding up, bat out in the front. It's going to be a little grounder over to center right.
He beat the last one out.
And just past David's hands, and that's not going to cut it. That is a run for Corian, tying the game back up for the Edge. It is now an 8-8 game.
That's the second ground ball he's hit, and he scored on both of them. And now you've got the dangerous top of the Edge lineup coming up in a tie game.
Ball seems to be beeping a little erratically there. Field is good. Again, this is Eric Rodriguez. High pop-up, going to be into center about 120 feet. Zach trying to get to it, though, as it bounces, and he's got it out.
What a play! What a play!
Zach Arambula, 20.
That's the second time Eric's been robbed on a pop-up. First David Smith, and now Zach Arambula guns him. Those are the type of plays that can help you get to a championship game. Well done.
Walking off field, he has that narrow red headband tied around with the long ends flaming up behind him as a flag when he runs. Just didn't get a chance to make it to the base ahead of Zach.
Boy, is that exciting. Good hit, better play. Arambula and Rodriguez, two of the best in the world.
Nick Mulhern up at the plate.
Here's another one.
Good strong grip on the bat.
Well, if they can get out of this inning here.
Oh, just barely slicing the edge off of that as it drops straight down.
Only 1 run in so far here for the Edge. 2 outs.
Jets will need to hold them. And a massive swing there, but missing by about 2 inches. The heat is starting to get oppressively heavy. Taking a pass on that. You feel the weight of that. Heat is climbing through the day. And again, the ball dropping just underneath the swing for another strike.
Come on now, we good. 1 ball, 3 strikes.
Full count. Money ball right here.
Set. Pitch.
Gone.
And again, that is a strikeout for Nick Mulhern.
And that is a 1-run inning for the Edge. The Jets defense is going to storm off the field. It is 8-8, game on as we go to our first hydration break.
No, thank you very much.
8-8 after 2. They came back, they got even.
That was definitely a big difference for the Edge there. Their first at bat giving them 7 runs, this time being held to 2 by the Jets.
Believe 1.
That is an 8-8 game.
Yep.
Tied at the end of the second inning as both teams go in for our hydration break. 5 minutes. This is getting oppressively hot out here. Even though this is the first game of the day for both of these teams, it is still very hot out there, and they've been outstanding in that heat, playing and running and swinging. They are going to be dehydrated very quickly.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. The winner's bracket final is scheduled right now for 1:30. Now, 2 things about that. 1, there's a contingency plan if we get into the danger area with the excessive heat to play that game again tonight under the lights. The other thing about that is the teams that are going to be participating in that game, looking like the Fire and the Thunder. One game just ended recently. The other one is ending now if it's not still going, and so they have to play each other too to determine who's going to participate in the 1:30 game. There is no way, here's another prediction, that game's starting at 1:30. So we will update you on the schedule as we go along. I want to give a shout out, Rosina, as we always do, to the NBBA officials, scorekeepers, umpires, and volunteers. We couldn't do this without them. Brad Farmer, Shay Conway, Dave Taylor, David Robert, Glenda Cole, Jaden Price, of course our head umpire Jason Price, John Lykowski, Jordan Simpson, Karen Lykowski, Kemp Price, Kevin Miller, Linda Skaggs, Mark Hudson, Melanie Taylor, Mike Woodard, Missy Lykowski, Peggy Hurt, Ronnie Higdon, and Sylvia Redmond as we keep on going here. Cassie Hopkins is our tournament director. John Stark, our equipment manager. He couldn't be here this week, but he helped out a lot early last week, setting up the fields and so forth. Glenn Hopkins has been here all week, carting around equipment and so forth. Knox Ward as well. John Lykowski Jr., our social media specialist of Lykowski Studios. He's still selling 2024 NBBA calendars with some choice photography from this season. And Graham Mathena and Live Event Productions for producing our broadcast. I'm DB David Betty alongside Rosina Foster. This is, by my count, the 7th official NBBA live stream that we've done, and of course we freelanced the game under the lights last night between Bayou City and who was it again?
Tigers.
Well, we had Bayou City
Do we not?
and
Or
the New Jersey Titans who played for 7th earlier today.
That was a very good game as well in the beginning.
We got done with that at about 11 o'clock. And then I know I stuck around a little while as we were trying to determine how many balls we needed to keep in reserve for the championship game tomorrow. So by the time I got back to the hotel, it was well after midnight. And so basically we got here at 5:30 in the morning yesterday. We streamed 4 games throughout the day with the long heat suspension break in between, and it was basically about a 20-hour workday for some of us. I joked with Cassie Hopkins, our tournament director, that if we'd have stayed out there any longer, we may as well just pitch a tent.
And it was quite enjoyable, though, DB. That was my first night game calling here in beat ball world, and it was a very nostalgic feel. It was cooler, but it just had that feel of a baseball game.
It was awesome, and we may get something similar again tonight. I know that's not the first choice of what a lot of our logistical staff want to see happen, but we may get another one tonight. That was my 4th World Series night game. 2 as a spectator, 1 I was on the sidelines for, and then, of course, we were on the stream last night. So I've seen night games at other local tournaments, but in my 24, 25 years at the World Series, there's only been a handful of them. It doesn't happen very often. And that one really wasn't planned. That was just a fallback option when the heat got up to a level that was considered dangerous by local officials. We're trying to accomplish 2 things at once here. We're trying to carry the tournament to completion, which means finishing all the games, while keeping our people safe.
So we have had that 30-second call back to the field here in just a moment. So we will you'll see the team start to take that field as we ready up for the 3rd inning. And this tied up game, 8-8, Jets edge.
Now, we are not under a 2-hour and 15-minute time limit like we were yesterday, but they are going to try to strictly enforce the 5-minute breaks to keep this thing going. And as you heard, time just called from the scorer's table there. They're keeping track of it. And so we're going to go out and start this top of the 3rd, 8-8 tie.
Well, let's start off with Axel Cox for the Jets up at bat as he waits patiently for the edge to take their positions. Looks like the last one on the field is Justin Holland coming across the foul line from their bench and heading over to the far right. He's starting to pick up into a jog. Jeremy's starting to get his pitcher's mask on. And our umpire checking and waiting for the field. We have all our line judge and our base judges are now making their way into position as well.
I am told that Philly Bayou City game has just ended. That was a 4-hour plus game. They started that early this morning, and
7:30.
It took forever.
Thank goodness they don't have a bunch of games on all the fields like our first and the second day that allowed for that, not holding up other games.
Bayou City did win that game, and I'm told there were better than 70 runs between the 2 teams scored in that game over there. So it'll be fire and thunder. Bayou City will play Boston for 5th.
Ready for the pitch. Nice, solid line drive. Oh, it's bouncing off of... Oh, that is going to be a run for the Jets. That bounced right off of Corian's head as he slid down to try to block that way over into Tello range, but not in time.
That's the second time a ball has deflected off of an edge player, and the Jets have gotten a run out of it. You remember the one off Mulheron's knee, and that one off of Corian took a header. Too far for Miguel Tello to try to come over and back him up.
Miguel Tello was already on his way over to back up, and when it bounced off Corian's head, it kind of went back to where Tello had been, so then he had to stop and turn around and head back. This does bring Will Lopez up to bat for the Jets as they have now taken the lead.
Will Lopez, one of the Jets' hottest hitters, if not the hottest. Seems like the only times he makes outs these days is when he gets robbed in the outfield. Jets are back on top, 9-8 here.
It's going to be a short little grounder along left, very short. Eric rushing up there, coming to get to it. Does he? Oh, he has him out.
Did Will miss the base over there? Because
he curved wide. He caught it at the very last second. It wasn't a complete miss, but it was almost. And Eric almost didn't have control of that in time. He kind of fumbled it with a little bit with his fingers and then pulled it up in time.
And a banana base, as we call it, by Will maybe cost him a run there, as that was a foot race. Neither one of them were clean with it, but Eric in the end gets the
Winning it.
put out.
This brings Aaron up to bat for the Jets. Surprisingly powerful hitter here.
Yeah, the Thunder found that out yesterday. He was really hitting well. He was another one that was hitting well. He used to have some consistency issues. He was a strikeout problem at times in Kevin Simpson's lineup back in his run. But he's straightened that out now.
Just over the top of his bat, pulling up his left arm sleeve. Catching a tick on that as it drops down. Solid, powerful, almost pop up there right behind Corian. Justin Holland going out of Corey's reach. And that is going to be a run for Aaron. Widening that gap, 10-8.
Just like we mentioned about the Thunder defense yesterday, the Jets, the way to get to this edge defense is high, hard, and up the middle. You have 6 players covering a lot of territory. You're going to give up something. It's either going to be baselines and gaps, or it's going to be deep in the middle. Now, Corey White out there can make some plays, but he's pretty deep.
He is pretty deep out there, and he threw himself down on that, but it was just past his fingertips. You could see him literally stretching on the ground, hoping to grab that, but not quite enough arm reach. This is Ricky Castaneda. Nice, good line drive from him this time. Just past Corian again. Justin Holland, Corey's finger, almost a duplicate there, giving Ricky his first run.
Wow,
Did
that was
not
like a
strike out
replay.
this time. It was like a replay.
And that one was a little more of a line drive, I think, but it's almost the same spot in the field. I got another prediction to make, though. Corey's going to get one of those this game. He's going to throw himself down, and he's going to get one of those. But meanwhile, that's 2 more in.
That have squeaked past.
Here come the Jets.
That was nice for Ricky to get that as he was running back up from first base. There was a high jump-up hug there to pitcher Jeremy Lopez. He's finally got a little take on one of his pitches.
There's that 3-run lead.
They've moved Miguel Tello over to far second and moved Corey White. So they basically reversed those to Corey and Miguel Tello.
So they got Tello now dropped deep in the middle? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And they've moved Corey over to left
To
field.
left deep. Just a little switch up there.
That's an interesting adjustment, Rosino. Let's see how that affects the deep edge defense.
With Zach. And just underneath his swing, a little stumble forward as he swings hard.
Jets have matched their largest lead of the game now at 11-8.
Catching a little meat on that, it drops down, twisting back. It's going to be a little grounder, but it's going to be straight to Eric and bouncing off of it. But he's got control of it. He has got that out. He's taken Zach out again.
The difference between Eric and a lot of other defenders is when he blocks a ball, he usually can get his hands in the right position to make sure that it doesn't go astray.
Yeah, he's definitely scooping those up. It's just a matter of getting it stopped bouncing around and pulling it up. He's had that almost every time. Bringing David Crystal up with a very strong exhale as he looks up at the sky before getting that base check.
David Smith, whose lovely wife Crystal should be watching today. She always does.
A little tick there on that ball. Yeah, I'm sure Crystal is watching.
Shout out to San Antonio.
A little up over the top of the pitch.
Another contrast you're seeing between the Jets and the Edge. The Edge not afraid to take a pass ball. The Jets never take a pass ball. They come out swinging.
Another little tick as it pops right back into the catcher's mitt.
He's not getting that solid contact yet from D. Smith. He did from Castaneda, though, a couple of batters ago, and Castaneda had struck out twice. So that's good. But he needs to get David Smith going. Hit the top part of that bat and get some of those big flies.
Call for a new ball by Jeremy Lopez.
We go to Fonzie balls.
Jason saying we are running out. We've got
Dangerously
only
low.
a few Denver balls, and then we'll be switching to Fonzie balls. And remember, we had those balls in Wichita a couple of years ago for the entire World Series. We played with them at the Gateway Regional Tournament in St. Louis. So there's a little different tone to them and so forth, but it's really, really not a huge changeover. What they don't want to do is use a different ball in the championship game than they've been using all week, but they will use them today if they have to. And we got a bunch of Fonzie balls in reserve. I think I heard 40 of them.
So Jeremy stepped back out to the 40-foot line before coming back up to the plate. David getting his base check.
Wait!
It's going to be a solid line driver outside of Eric's reach over into left.
Corey,
Pass.
no.
Oh, no, it's past Corey, and that's going to be a run for David.
Boy, you wonder if Miguel would have been able to make that play. They just switched him over. I'm not saying Corey did anything wrong, but Miguel can cover so much ground, and he's got such good ears for the ball. But they moved him over into deep center after they started peppering deep center. Now they're going to left. And the Jet Life offense has the edge defense scrambling here a little bit. Largest lead of the game now at 4.
This brings Axel Cox up. Corey was just scrambling in a dead-out sprint for that ball, tossing himself down, but just not enough. That ball was going like a shot out of a gun.
12-8 San Antonio, 2 outs, top of the third here. Undefeated game, winner on to the championship game. Loser will play later today.
We're set. Bases, please.
Field is good.
Thank you.
Jeremy taking a walkabout there all the way back to the 40-foot line before coming back in. Just underneath his swing.
Kyle telling Corian, Miguel, and Nick Mulheron to be ready here.
It's going to go right over to Nick Mulheron, bouncing around past him.
Ooh,
Justin Holland going to have to
Holland.
back him up. He's at the ball, and he has got him out. Axel run, I think,
Axel,
the base.
a
I think
bad
there
base.
might be.
They're gonna talk about this. What happened here?
Jason, you got that.
Going to be an issue there. We're checking to see what's going on with the base.
22.
That is bringing the edge in.
Was that it? Was that 22?
Justin Holland. Justin Holland.
Holland with the put out on Cox, and something happened over that base. I was waiting to hear Axel hit it and Jason Price to call him safe.
Forever.
But instead, Holland had enough time to back up Mulheron and make the play.
So that sends the Jets out to the field again.
They got to
Apparently
clean up
no
the base
issue
running.
on that base.
They got to clean up the base running a little bit. We've had a banana base, and we've had whatever in the world that happened there. But 4 runs in for the Jets, and they lead 12-8, headed to the bottom of the third. Edge scored 7 in the first, but only 1 last inning.
See if the Jets can maintain hold them or if they're going to let loose and the Edge will have a free flood of runs.
Both of these
Lopez.
teams can score runs in bunches, so we got a long way to go here. But if you're the Jets, you got to be feeling pretty good about where you're at here, up by 4.
This does bring Corey White up to the plate for the Jets as they start to try to get rid of this 4-run lead that the Jets have over them.
And Corey can cut this lead in half with one swing. Of course, a home run in beat baseball counts for 2. It has to clear the 170-foot line on the fly. He likes doing it in big games and on television and so forth, Corey does.
Ready? It's a little on the outside bottom edge of the bat.
Of the 4 home runs Corey White has hit in his career, 2 of them have come on live television. 1 has come on your live stream in the championship game.
Again, on the outside bottom edge of the bat. A little bit closer this time, only about an inch off.
And don't think Corey doesn't know we're back here calling this game.
And now
pass ball.
pass on that as he listened to it go by.
The reason I know he knows is because he asked me yesterday if we were going to be calling this game. I told him we were. He said he's got something for me.
Oh, a grounder that almost took out Kyle's leg going. Oh, Axel coming back. Oh, no. It's went all the way back to Will Lopez, but not in time. Will running over there to try to cover up Axel, but not in time.
And Jeremy Lopez hollers out to his defense, you got to have those fellas, and he's right. That, although, you know, the middle has been where they've been, that's sort of been their soft spot on
This
defense.
was just off of the middle, just barely to the right, bringing Justin Holland.
12-9.
Quick tip with his hat there. Fingers gripping at ease on his bat.
All right, we're setting the field.
Field is now ready.
Wait.
Justin's bat out the front, now back up over the ear.
Set. Pitch.
And right over the top of his bat.
That ball doesn't have much left in it either. I'm telling you right now. I was the type of player I wouldn't have wanted to use a ball like that on defense. Not in a game like this.
That's a pretty weak beat.
Yeah. That's almost not competitive.
And another one right up underneath the bat. Starting to have a little franticness sound to the beep.
Yeah.
As I believe Justin will be taking a pass on this.
You know, the concern if you're the Jets is can all your defenders hear that ball? The concern is if you're the edge, if he really gets into one, is it just going to kill it? And they're talking about that right now. The ball is about to die. We can all tell it's about to die.
It's going to be a high pop-up over here to, whoa, almost hitting Aaron C. in the batter's circle. You could hear him put his hand up over his head and go, whoa, as it dropped about 1.5 feet from his feet.
I've been conked in the on-deck circle with a ball once or twice before. That's no fun. You're just practicing swings, and the next thing you know, a ball lands on your head.
1 ball, 3 strikes.
Justin back up at the ready.
Full count here. I've only counted a couple strikeouts for Kyle so far.
And it's
and
going to
there's
be
another
right
one.
underneath him. And I think that is Justin's second strikeout. I think that was the
believe-
last one he had was a strikeout as well.
I believe you're right.
This brings Aaron C. up to the plate. His big, wide white head bandana.
I count 2 for Holland and then Mulheron to end the last inning.
Please. Thank you. Thank you.
Getting that base check. Aaron has that distinctive way of holding his ear up tight to the pitch. And it works. High up, pop up out into deep center where nobody is.
No way.
Not even close. Will running for that, but there wasn't even a chance for that.
That's the dead zone there, and that was a shot, and that was an earned run for Aaron C. and the Edge as they cut now the lead down to 2.
This brings the younger White brother, Corian, up to the plate.
12-10, but I do have 2 outs in this inning. Is that what you have?
That is what I have, 12-10.
Okay. There's 1 out in the inning.
Oh, only 1 out.
It is 12. We had the
Justin.
score right, but we had Justin is the 1 out on the strikeout.
Wait.
Quick wind up from Corian.
Corion's been scoring on ground balls today. He's done it twice.
A high pop up
That's
over
dead.
into right, though, this time. As they're running
Well.
for it, David trying to jump for it, and Aaron scrambling in the back.
If that's not dead, it's close to it. That's a shot anyway. Maybe it's not because David did go after it, but
David and Aaron both scrambled after that ball. It is, but it's an
Still-
extremely high, fast beep.
It's still beeping, man. I'll tell you what, we got a tenacious Denver ball here on our hands. I can't believe it's even still working, but
It's a very quick.
yeah. It's 12-11 now, and the top of the edge lineup coming up.
Oh, they're still calling. They're fine with the ball. I am shocked. This is Eric up to bat. Eric Rodriguez. It's going to be a bouncing little grounder over into short center. Ricky going for it, and he has it in his hands, and he is out. Ricky getting it. Oh, Eric is upset as he hits first base, bangs his fists into the grass.
Yeah, Eric's getting frustrated. You know what? He's gotten picked on a couple of high fly balls, and he has grounded out twice. Has he scored?
I think he has one in.
All right.
Yes.
He's got one run in there, but he's
been
frustrated.
picked off a lot.
And he is an intense player.
This brings Nick Mulheron up to bat.
Jets still clinging to a one-run lead now, 2 outs, bottom of the third. Mulheron was a strikeout victim to end the second.
I'm surprised we're still clinging to this ball.
I don't know that they have well.
It's going to be a bouncing little grounder. Oh, he ran almost to the wrong base. A little Ricky running over to grab it. David going to back him up, went over his hands. And that's going to be a run for Nick. Even though he took 2 steps towards first, had to stop and turn and go to third, still outrunning it. Jets are not going to be able to do that if they want to win this game.
No, and I thought the misstep was going to cost Nick. You got to capitalize on mistakes from star players on the other team, and Nick was able to score anyway. And guess what? Here we are again. Now we're tied at 12.
Game. Yeah, it was a costly mistake there for the Jets. That should have been an out.
That's the second time that happened in the first inning, too, where there was a ball that could have got him out of the inning, and they didn't pick it up, and then the Edge scored several more with 2 outs. Let's see if this starts something now.
This brings Corey White up for the Edge.
Corey said he had something for us yesterday. I don't know what that something is. We'll find out.
Going to be bouncing foul over to the Jets cheering section behind them. I count 4 tents set up behind the Jets bench.
And these spectators on both sidelines are going to get more and more numerous as other teams and other games get finished up, placement games and so forth, and everybody comes over to see the big ones.
Just catching a little tick on that, dropping down to Braden.
Braden Rodriguez was Jared Woodard's catcher for a couple years for the Thunder. That is Eric Rodriguez's younger brother.
Oh, catching Kyle right in the calves. That had to be painful.
Couldn't get out of the way of that
once
one.
on the ground and right up to Kyle's thighs. Cavs tried to get out of the way, but it was going to get him.
So that's the first time in this game a pitcher's been hit with the ball. It happens.
Kyle's been close twice now. That third time must have been the charm.
Well, the upside of that is that means they're right on time. When you line one right back up the middle at your pitcher, that means timing usually means it's perfect.
Just needs to lift that up into the air a little bit. Kyle doing kind of a little shuffle dance out there as they wait for Corey to come back to home plate.
And that's the part of the field they've had the most success scoring into also, is up the middle, whether it's been ground balls or deep ones.
Yeah, the middle is very bare currently.
So I don't think Kyle minds getting hit, because that's what has been working when he can avoid them and they go right up the center.
Corey getting a towel from the catcher to wipe his hands off on to get a good grip. I think he might be taking a pass here.
He did.
He looked a little too at ease.
I didn't like taking a pass as a player right after I hit a ball right up the middle or something like that.
It's going to be a bopping foul over here just to the right of our table, DB. we were safe, and no assists for us.
Full count. So here we go again now. The Jets are one pitch away from potentially getting out of this inning in a tie game again.
A couple quick wind-ups of the bat there by Corey. And at the ready.
Swinging.
And swinging. That is going to be, grabbing the bat with both hands, tossing it down to the ground as he walks back to his bench as the Jets come in.
Yep, you're seeing a little bit of frustration starting for the Indy Edge. They're not used to being in these types of games very often, but they're
Not
in a
this tight.
dog fight right now. Halfway through the game, we are even at 12. Jets coming up. How do you like it?
This is very reminiscent for me of the game that we just did with the Jets and the Thunder. That was one of my favorite games that I've done so far, mainly because of the constant back and forth, a close game, a lot of tight plays that makes it for a very enjoyable game.
We saw a little bit of everything in that game, too. As you said, close calls, tight plays. It was seesaw back and forth.
Lots of dead balls. The bases were messed up.
We thought the game was over once, and it would continued on a double call. The Thunder end up tying the game, and the third out happens, and the Jets thought that the game was over, and then they came up, and with one swing in the bottom of the sixth, Aaron Almanza ended the game. It was a classic, and this one is building up into that same type of game as we head to the fourth inning.
It's definitely more of a close. You're not sure what's going to happen. Basically no predictions for this game other than it will be a good one. This has Will Lopez up at the plate as the Edge is setting up out in the field. They have still maintained Tello out in the far center and Corey in the far back left. So it looks like they will follow through with that change that they made in their defense.
And as you mentioned now, there is a pretty large crowd gathering here to watch this game, as I'm sure word gets around that we've got a barn burner going here.
Getting that base check, and we are ready to go with Will Lopez. High pop-up over in the left. Not sure if that will stay fair, and that is going to be foul. Eric Rodriguez already all over that as it's coming down.
Man, Jeremy and Will are connecting right now, something serious. Everything seems to be top of the bat. Fly balls, even the foul balls are majestic.
That was a nice high, at least 100 foot. Oh, so looks like we will be switching out our umps.
Hi, my name's Missy. I'm a fellow scorekeeper of your dad.
All right, let's see. I thought they had said that maybe they were going to send Mike Woodard over to him.
It is Mike Woodard standing there talking to Jason Price as Will comes back to home plate. Jason stepping out and back away. Mike stepping up to the first base line. And it is now officially Mike's.
Mike has umped 2 NBBA championship games that I can remember at least. 2015 and 2013. He was not here last year in Beaumont at the World Series, but he is one of our more veteran umpires.
Ball just underneath the swing.
And if you're wondering about the last name, he is the uncle of Jared Woodard, the pitcher for the Indy Thunder, so he does not ump their games.
Another just underneath the swing. And ready? High pop up over into short left. Going to be bouncing right in front of Eric. It's bouncing around, but he is already safe. He was there. There was 3 bounces to that. Eric was in position for that, but it just was still moving. And Will taking advantage of that to be at third.
Eric is an expert at tracking balls in the air, and he, of course, would have been in position, made a great play on the ball. Will Lopez, the fastest Jet, in my opinion, and hung it up there, and he is on fire at the plate right now. Will Lopez has really, really been a difference maker for the San Antonio Jets.
This brings up Aaron chuckling at home plate, getting a tight grip on the bat. We do have that new ball now finally into play.
That's another Denver ball, and It doesn't, maybe I'm picky, it doesn't sound the greatest
It's pretty
either.
fast pitched.
Start. Go.
Aaron with the tap in front of home plate.
Sarah, ready, ball.
And just over the top of the swing.
Jeremy telling him immediately that was me. Bad pitch. Stay where you're at.
Sarah, ready, ball.
And just barely over that one by about half an inch.
You can tell that Jeremy Lopez has adopted a lot of the mechanics of Kevin Simpson, the way he works with his batters and so forth.
It's going to be popping up here over to Mike Woodard.
Mike is also an official for the Illinois High School Association. We live in the same part of the world, only a few miles apart. He does baseball, softball, and volleyball.
Pop up over into right, just behind Nick Mulheron, but Justin was running to back him up. Nick on top of the ball, but not in time. He actually slid his body over the top of it, but he was rolling over the top of the ball, so of course he did not have it in his hands and up and away, and that gave Aaron a chance to put another run up on the board.
Gotta have the ball off the ground and away from the body.
He didn't even have it in his hand. He was just still
couldn't
rolling
do it,
over the
yeah.
top of it from his chest to his stomach at that point.
And Aaron with just enough speed to not allow him to finish the play. He started making the play, but he couldn't finish it before Aaron got to the base. Look at this now. 2 in already, nobody out. Jets up 14-12. They need all the runs they can get because the Edge will have the last at-bats in this game. So they want to keep the line moving.
This is a call for a new ball as little Ricky stands waiting.
They need to forget about these and give them Fonzie balls at this point. I know the tone is a little bit different, but you'd rather have a loud ball with a lower tone than what they're giving them now. This isn't the game for this. You can...
First place.
Yeah,
Getting
that's
that base
not a
check.
good ball.
Why don't you pick me from 2-2?
Jeremy pulling his face mask down. Little Ricky already at the ready with his hand.
Ready, ball.
It's going to be a short little pop-up over into right, just past Nick. He's rushing for it. He caught it, slowed it down, but it's going to be safe. He caught it. It bounced down from his chest to his feet, so he had stopped it, but he didn't have it in control. And little Ricky.
Castaneda, after starting out the game rough with a couple of strikeouts, he scored a couple of big runs his last time up, and the Jets' speed is wreaking havoc right now on the Indy Edge defense. That's the bottom 3 in their order. Bottom half of the order, 3 runs straight, 15-12, still nobody out. Here comes Jet Life rallying again at the top of the order with Zacharambula.
Back up to the top. Mike calling for quiet.
Unless Cassie will take me.
And Zach winding up for this pitch.
Sarah, ready, ball.
Nice pop up over into center, just barely
Just
to
now
right,
landed.
but it's in a pocket. Tello's after that, but he's already on the ball. Somersaulting sideways, rolling shoulder stomach over shoulder stomach there after hitting first base. Doesn't matter, not in time for Miguel Tello.
4 in a row to start the inning. This is looking a lot like the second inning for the Jets. And now David Smith, dangerous, will come up to bat. 16-12 San Antonio.
See what David has in store as Jeremy walks back out behind the 40-foot line.
And they're running the Edge defense all over the place. They're hitting to left, they're hitting to right, they're hitting to center, they're spreading it around, and maybe about time for a defensive timeout if you're the Edge to try to break the rhythm of Jeremy Lopez.
Sun up high in the sky as Jeremy, you can visibly see the sweat dripping off of his face at this point.
Sarah, ready, ball.
Just underneath, but in perfect position.
Don't feel bad. Well, that's not to use.
Sarah, ready, ball.
Oh, a line drive almost taking out Jeremy right down the center, past Corian, back past Corey and Miguel. Another run for the Jets. And it's just these grounders that they're missing is killing the Edge.
Jeremy Lopez and his red-hot offense slicing and dicing the Edge defense, and they've got the champions on the ropes a little here in the fourth.
It
5-run lead.
still a little early. We've seen the Edge do some marvelous things, but this has got to hurt their morale. They're feeling a little frustrated. You can see it in their batting when they're hitting the ground with their fists when they miss, when they're throwing the bat down. That frustration has taken root.
The Edge can return the favor, but this is right now a Jets team that is hitting on all cylinders.
Ready for the pitch for Axel Cox. And that's going to be a strike as the pitch goes right underneath the bat.
One of these teams will be playing for a world championship tomorrow.
Short little pop-up. I'm not sure that's going to bounce foul.
Nope, but it kept the Edge defense moving. Boy, they've been moving around a lot, and they've been out there a while already, and there's still nobody out.
Right on top of that, they're actually probably good to redo that. He probably would have had that. He is quick on picking those runs up that are short.
If the Jets do have an advantage in these conditions, it's that they practice in San Antonio in the heat of summer and on hard fields. The Edge are in Indianapolis. Not that it doesn't get hot there, but it's a different kind of heat, and they're a different kind of fields. Advantage Jets with these conditions.
Axel stepping back away from home plate as he gets a base check. And now at the ready. Just the ball half an inch underneath the swing.
Will Lopez started this uprising. Axel Cox, the sixth batter in the lineup, and all five have scored before him.
Just underneath the swing.
That's what I had already thought.
So this is going to bring Will Lopez up to home plate in his flashy pink socks, and he's saying yes, he absolutely is going to back up his players.
Scheduling update, I just talked to tournament director Cassie Hopkins that third place or winner's bracket final will be moved to 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tonight is the scheduled start time for the loser of this game against the winner of the Fire and the Thunder, who are just getting ready to start now.
Will flipping that bat around in his hands before at the ready.
So we will be under the lights again tonight.
High, it's going to be foul ball far on the left third base side. That was on the inside of that bat. Did have a good hunger on it, but not on line.
Fire and Thunder right now playing that final elimination game. They met earlier this year in Indianapolis, and the Fire jumped on the Thunder 14-3, and then the Thunder came all the way back and eventually won that game 18-17, I believe was the final score. And that's going to be a dogfight over there too.
New ball in play.
So, with only 4 teams left in the tournament, the top 4 seeds have all advanced. The 4 teams that are left are the 4 that were the highest ranked teams coming in.
Strong exhale by Will. It's going to be a little grounder over into left. I believe Eric's going to pick that off. He's got it scooped up, and he is out.
You got him.
Will rolling side over side, but it does not matter. Eric easily scooping that up.
All right. Remind our fans and help me update my own. What did Axel Cox do while Cassie was whispering in my ear?
So he ran for the base, but that was an out.
Okay, so we got 2 outs in the inning now.
Yep, with Aaron up at bat.
Wait, this is what happened before.
17-12. He did run toward the right base this time, though, but did not outrun.
Remember, the Jets had scored several runs to open up the second inning, and then they went 3 up, 3 down after that. So now after 5 straight, 2 straight outs. It's a big at-bat for Aaron Almanza. You'd like to get a few more runs out of this if you're the Jets. In a game like this, it's okay to be greedy.
And nice swing. Good follow-through. Just the ball underneath the swing. And it's going to be a high pop-up, short right, Nick Mulhern area. It's bouncing around. He's got to get his body on it. He's out. He's saying he's up, and he had it. There was a little bit of a delayed call, but he is saying out.
The call on the field by Mike Woodard was out. They're going to...
They're not questioning
No.
it.
All right. That's 3 outs in the inning, but 5 runs on the board for San Antonio. Edge coming up in the bottom of the fourth, 17-12 Jets. And, you know, the San Antonio Jets are so hungry. They're so hungry. They've been so close before. Made it to the finals in 2019, lost in extra innings to the Thunder. Made it to the finals in 2021, lost on a walk-off home run to the Thunder. Made it to the finals last year and just ran into an overwhelmingly hot Edge team and they ran away from them.
They're definitely wanting this game. Have the Jets still making their way out in the field. We're going to start off with Justin Holland up to bat for the Indy Edge. The Jets are going to have to dig in at some of that same defense that they had the last inning and not repeat the earlier defense that they had. They're going to want to hold. Justin has struck out twice now, so he's going to be very hungry to get into this game.
I want to send a shout out real quick to my good friend, former teammate, former broadcast partner, Kevin Simpson. I know you're out there listening, man. Enjoy the game. I'm sure you're proud of your Jets, and we just hope you enjoy it.
Getting the call quiet out in the field as Mike gets a base check. The field is ready. Justin pulling up the bat up over his ear and ready.
Justin struck out twice today.
And that's going to be a little high on the bat. It's going to take a pass right here, DB, as he waits and listens to the rhythm of it coming across the plate.
He took it early in the count there. Usually they wait till 2 strikes. Maybe Kyle saw something and told him to.
And a high pop-up. This is far out, deep center. That is not quite home run territory. Will Lopez going for it, but not in time. Justin at third base. He's plowed completely over that.
That ball was crushed. I mean, it's only 1, but they'll take it. Good start to the inning.
I'm going to guess that was about 15 feet short of the line.
17-13, as Holland does Holland things.
That was a nice, good, solid hit. Mike was headed out to go check, but the volunteer who had already been coaching on it said no, it was inside the line. And I'm going to guess, again, about 10 to 15 feet. This brings Aaron C. up to home plate. Standing waiting as Kyle comes up. Adjusting home plate a little bit there to line it back up to center with the bisecting first and third base lines. Headed back out to the pitcher's mound. That first and third base check. And Aaron digging his back toe in just a little bit. And then back up with his ear to the pitcher. Going to be a knockout over into right field, way past Aaron Almanza. There's not. He is running. It's almost to the other field as he finally stops, turns around, and heads back. He wasn't even to the ball.
Aaron sees a power hitter, and he went to the opposite field with power there, which you don't usually see him do. He's a lot of times a dead pull hitter, but that worked for him. 2 straight runs to start the bottom of the fourth. Punch, counter punch. Here come the Edge. As it's 17-14.
As we talk about the fans here for the teams, I mentioned earlier we have 4 tents up for the Jets. The Indy Edge's fans have grown now. They have 2 extra tents. They have 3 extra umbrellas with people sitting under them, and then people out past that. So it's definitely a reward. You can see more and more people showing up every moment.
There's only a few games still going on right now. This one, of course, that Thunder Fire game we talked about, the 5th, 6th place game, too.
It's going to be a high foul ball just past the cameras there for Corian White. We have our camera station just past the Jets base.
They need to be ready for a ground ball up the middle. That's where Corian's hurt him a couple of times.
That middle is empty. And that's going to be a little low on the outside.
Well, they've got nobody in the middle, but Arambulo is going to be ready to break left if he needs to.
We have Axel Cock is just barely off of center, and so is David Smith.
And that's a good
and
spot
if
for
it's
Axel.
short, Zach can get there in time.
And, and Axel moves well to his left, too, so he can back him up.
Slow drag of the bat across the plate. Bat out in front and ready for the pitch. It's going to be a little grounder, almost taking out Kyle again. Zach scooping it up, and that is out.
It's a big out. Big first out of the inning there. Zach clean on that one, as he needed to be. They get Corey on.
There was no wildness in that. It was definitely not going to be bouncing around. It was an easy pickup there for Zach. But this does bring Eric Rodriguez up for the edge, and hopefully that out for the Jets' purpose is going to have them in a positive defensive mode. Eric digging his toes in there up at home plate. Nice knockout there over. It's going to be fair over very far on first base side. There's no way. He is safe. That was basically inches at the line, and then going outside, a far run for Aaron.
And we talked about Eric can score on all parts of the field. He hit that one up opposite field, right close down the line there. Good placement. 2-run game now, 17-15, still only one out, bottom of the fourth.
This brings Nick Mulhern up as Eric was walking back. He's like, come on, number 22.
This does look reminiscent of yesterday's game. These two teams are just throwing haymakers at one another here.
It's going to be right up there along with my favorite games. This is definitely a game you pay to watch. Nick twisting up that bat and at the ready. Just catching a touch of that as it drops down behind the plate.
Remind you, we will be coming up on our second hydration break here at the end of this half inning.
It's going to be a smashing grounder. Oh, Ricky stops it with his body, but he's got to get out.
Boy, he did.
They had to slow Nick down. He was running straight for the camera tent.
Oh, he was a little offline. That's why somebody yelled stop. And when the stop command is given, the result of the play depends on who is at fault and what the reason was why the play was stopped. If it's on the fielder, it's a run, generally. If it's on the base runner, then it's an out. And I think Ricky would have had him anyway, but they called that play dead. So that's big. That's the second out of the inning.
And Nick definitely shaking his head as he walks back around. He's not happy with that at all. This brings
Corey White.
Corey White. Oh.
He's early.
Hear the whoosh on that. That is a rough break for the edge.
3 runs in, 2 outs here in the inning.
Oh, smashed
that
Kyle
one
again.
nailed him.
This time getting him in the upper thigh on his left leg. He's shaking that off, kicking a little bit as he walks out. That's definitely had some power behind it.
That'll give you a Charlie horse. At least it's hitting him on bony parts of his, or on meaty parts of his body, and not the bonier parts.
Yeah, that was very high upper thighs. He had his back turned to the ball, trying to twist out of the way, but that ball's coming fast. You don't have much time to react.
That got oohs and ahs out of the crowd in addition to us as it just slammed Kyle.
Kind of makes me hurt.
Yeah, don't rub it. This is high-level beat baseball we're seeing here. Just what we expected in the winner's bracket final.
And right over the top of the bat. Adjusting his foot placement there. They're calling for a new ball here.
And I'll remind you again, we have gotten confirmation from the tournament director that the third place game, or elimination final as I call it, will be pushed back to 8 p.m. tonight. That'll make a short turnaround for the championship game for one of those teams.
For one of those playing.
But it'll make for
it's not an 8:30, it's a 10 o'clock game.
very pleasant game tonight under the lights again. But that just makes winning this game even more important to these teams, because then you don't have to worry about it.
They won't have to worry at all.
And for the Jets, the smallest roster in the entire league. In fact, I did some research, and I'll get to it here in a minute, about the history of their small roster.
A few little footsteps there. Digging in with the left foot for Corey. And that's going to be a strike.
One strike away are the Jets from getting out of this inning with the lead.
Corey resituating his bat along the front of home plate. Kyle trying to give some instruction for the catcher there of placing that mitt a little higher, it looked like. So he's going to listen for this.
Now it's a full count, so they went to 3 strikes. All right, we've gone as far as we can go. 2 outs, bottom of the 4th, full count.
And a smash of a hit over past, bouncing over Aaron's head.
That's
he
gone.
Scrambles for it, and he is already there. That is putting another run up. Now they only trail by 1.
Oh, what a clutch pitch and hit that was on a full count with 2 outs in the inning. After they looked like they were struggling a little bit in that at-bat, he gives Corey a good one, and Corey just nails it. Tying run coming to the plate now with Justin Holland.
Justin went flying off to third base last time and had the run tumbling over the base, bringing him back up to bat after his earlier 2 strikes. Probably itching for a homer. And it's going to be a line drive, and it is going to be fair.
Fair,
all
that's
on
trouble.
The first base.
That's
Aaron,
big trouble.
He is going to be back on the third, sliding in left foot first, taking the base out, and that is going to tie the game up once again.
Punch, counter punch. 5 for the Jets, 5 for the Edge. We're tied at 17-17.
This brings Aaron C. up to bat. Aaron still barely trotting his way back from his last 2 previous far runs that he's had to take way out into the field, making his way back into position. That is going to have him tired out.
No time to be tired now. Not in this game.
We've got the base check on first and third. Aaron saying thank you. Far foul over the camera tent on the right.
He was late, but they're starting to like right field over there. They've gotten a couple of their runs over there.
Kyle back in possession of the ball over on the baseline and walk it over to the pitcher's mound. He obviously has walked off both the hits he has received in the calf and the thigh.
These Jets have been together through some wars, and they've stuck together, and here they are again. We're in a tie game in the bottom of the 4th. Winner goes to the championship game.
It's going to be under the swing by about 2.5 inches. Kyle a little frustrated with that pitch.
Yeah, he didn't like that. That was his bad, and he just told him that was his bad. Sometimes a ball slips out of your hand.
He's taking a pass here. Bat was down on home plate as he listened to it come across. And a late swing.
Kyle said it was better. It did sound late. I wonder if maybe that's what they're trying to do, but now they're down to their last pitch. Now you just need to maximize contact. Hit it anywhere here. Gone.
And that one was high. That was definitely high up over that. That's going to bring the Jets back up on this tie game. They're going to have to, if they're going to have the Edge having that final bat, the Edge really needs to keep creeping ahead if they want to stay alive. The Edge is going to take advantage of every little spot they can. They have that quick response, and they will plow it forward with every single batter that's up there.
4 innings in the books, nothing decided. We basically got a 2-inning game here. We're all knotted up at 17 apiece. We'll have a short comfort and hydration break here before we move on to the 5th. Let us recognize some of our great sponsors and entities that have helped make this World Series possible, and it all starts with Visit Norman and the city of Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, okay. Norman, Oklahoma. Visit Norman. Trent Brown and his staff. Not only have they done a great job accommodating us for the games that we have kept on schedule, but they've been flexible enough to be able to allow us to modify the schedule to keep everybody safe, comply with local rules, and get these games in. The Embassy Suites and Conference Center is the host hotel for the World Series of Beat Baseball. They've been accommodating. Their staff has been excellent. They are a first-rate hotel. If I ever come back to Norman again, and I'm sure I will be staying at the Embassy Suites and Conference Center on Conference Drive here in Norman. Jersey Mike's Sandwiches provided sub sandwiches for all the players and volunteers back on Wednesday. They've done that several times now at the World Series. Jersey Mike's has been very good to us. New View, Oklahoma, here in the Oklahoma City metro area. They provide logistical support, volunteers, and so on. New View, Oklahoma, thanks for helping us out. The Delta Gamma Foundation gave us a generous grant to help cover expenses for our officials and volunteers. We couldn't do it without any of y'all. We'll also mention that the 2024 and 2025 World Series of Beat Baseball will be happening in St. Charles, Missouri, hosted by Mind's Eye and the Lighthouse of St. Louis, the Lighthouse for the Blind of St. Louis. We're looking forward to that. It's been 30 years since we had back-to-back World Series in the same city. Some of us in the league are looking for some permanency for our World Series. I wouldn't mind it being here, but we'll see what happens with St. Charles in the next couple of years. Thanks to our executive committee, the NBBA leadership, President Jerry Wendell, First Vice President Cassie Hopkins, she's our tournament director, Second Vice President, Public Relations Director Richie Flores, my boss, if you will, Secretary Steve Guerra, he just got elected to another 2-year term. Congratulations for him. He's been secretary since 2006. Treasurer John Lykowski, head umpire, or umpire-in-chief, if you will, Jason Price. He's umping this game, or he was, till Mike Woodard took over. And immediate past president Blake Boudreau of Sugarland, Texas. I'm sorry, Pearland. He's not going to be happy with me. I had Sugarland on my brain. They're both down there, but those are among, and there's others too, but those are among the NBBA leadership that makes this all possible in conjunction with the city and the host venue. Rosina, we're headed to the top of the 5th. We're in a tie game here, 17-17. The temperature's heated up, and this game is heated up too.
In the last about 20 minutes, you can definitely feel the much more oppressive nature of the heat. It was hot at the beginning, but you can feel the difference as that heat starts to push down on you. The Edge over there, I've seen them, quite a few of them, staying hydrated not only with water, but they're eating quite a bit of watermelon over there. See the Jets over here getting water as they sit and try to stay out of the heat. The ball is sitting at pitcher's plate.
The Indy Edge played in the heat in Beaumont last year, but here's an interesting stats for you. They did not have to play much beat baseball last year at the World Series to win the championship. The Edge played the least amount of innings required to win the world title since, and I'm going to name drop for my friend Neil McDonald, the 2009 West Coast Dogs. That was the last time a team had to play less innings to win a championship, and that 09 Dogs team, that was Neil McDonald's last year, and that was one of the best teams in NBBA history.
So we do have the Edge are getting ready to start to take the field here. We got some sirens running around. Hopefully this will all be done and over with by the time we're ready to start this inning. Jets starting to come out. They've had the time call over at the scorekeeper's table. Again, this is a tied game, 17-17.
And I believe, unless you correct me, I don't want to be wrong like yesterday, that we're going to have 6-1-2 coming up. Ricky Castaneda.
Absolutely, you are right.
Leading off. And I apologize for the folks who were listening yesterday. I was setting you up for a possible walk-off by David Smith, and I had actually gotten 3 outs behind in the lineup, and it was Aaron Almanza. And I realized it just before he hit the shot to end the game and get the Jets into this game here. So now we're back on track, 17-17. We're about to start the top of the 5th.
Starting up with, as we said, Ricky Castaneda, dual sport player here for the Jets, getting a few sound offs. Looks like the Edge is going to still maintain that Tello in deep center. That seemed to have been working for them a little bit more that last inning.
Tello does not have a putout out there in the outfield yet today, and he really hasn't had very many legitimate chances either. They've sort of avoided him
out of it.
And they're not that they're doing it on purpose, but seemingly targeting Corey White wherever he is on the field.
Definitely has come off with that feel. Our base checks, and we are ready to roll.
Game on, top of the 5th, tie game.
It's going to be just over the top of his bat. Bringing that bat back up over the shoulder. It's going to go right over to between the Jets bench and the camera. Volunteer bringing that ball back in, and thank you to all those, not just the big volunteers, but those individual ones who are out here spending their week with us in the hot sun. We appreciate all of that. Ricky back up at home plate.
And they're going to have to wait for this siren. Yeah, this has been one of the hottest, if not the hottest World Series I can ever remember. And in fact, going back through the annals, I believe this is the first time in the 47-year history of the World Series that we have had to suspend play because of heat.
Getting a nice little popper over there into short right, just outside of Nick's hands. He should have been behind that, and he is going to be safe.
Oh, that's a defensive mistake there. Mulheron needed to have that ball.
It was not a super hard hit from Ricky there. Didn't have the power on it. Nick should have probably been over behind that a little bit quicker than he was, stopping a little too soon and stopping outside of reach of the ball.
You just don't have the margin for error here, again, with these teams because they're just too talented.
This is going to start back over at the top with Zach Arambula. Nice strong beep coming there from that beep ball. We'll see how long this one lasts.
Jets back on top.
It's going to be a short little grounder, but this is going to be over, and he also ran the wrong direction to start with one step, and Eric's already got him out.
Eric would have had him anyway. That's not what Zach wanted. Boy, Eric and Zach are sort of going back and forth. They've hit a couple of balls to one another here. Neither one of them has really had a great offensive game today. It's been everybody else that's picked it up. One out.
David Smith.
They could use a big pop from David Smith here. 18-17 San Antonio, one out, top of the 5th.
David wearing his Jets hat on backwards. Puffy Jets words. High pop up. Not sure where that's. It's going to be short
Just
and
landed.
right. Not in front of Nick Mulheron. And Eric running for it, but that is going to be safe. Eric coming clear across from left field. Both him and Nick laid out on the ground.
Big pop-up for David Smith there, and that was a clutch hit there to extend the lead to 2 for San Antonio. Remember, the Edge have the last at-bats, so enough is never enough if you're San Antonio here.
They need to pile it on and have a good dose of runs ahead as a cushion.
And I will opine that with the size of their roster and how small it is more important for them maybe to win this game today than it would be for the Edge, because they don't have a bench, not much of one.
It's going to be just underneath the swing.
The more you win in these tournament formats, the less you have to play. And the Jets basically have 8 players.
It's going to be underneath the swing again. Nice, hard,
That's hammered.
high line drive over past
That's
Corey
gone.
even. And he is at the base. Caught that in a clothesline with his left arm as he was on the outer edge of the base. But he was going to get that.
A no-doubter that time.
We are now at 20, and I think your prediction was 30.
I said first team to 30. Well, we've got 1 to 20 now. It's 2017 San Antonio, still only 1 out, and the stars are shining here in Oklahoma today.
Starting to get a
Axel
little
Cox.
cloud cover up on our horizons almost all the way around us today, a little earlier than in the past.
That's been about the first time we've seen that this week, have we? There's been nary almost a cloud in the sky this week.
And we've had a few wisps in the past, but they're still very far off there, but they're much chunkier, fluffier clouds.
Maybe
out
that's
there.
an indication that the high-pressure center that has been spinning on top of us and cooking us all week long is sliding to the east, and we may be able to get a little bit of relief. Don't count on it, but cloud cover usually means, or the appearance of cloud cover, usually means that there's a front or something somewhere in the area.
Getting that base check now.
20 to 17, 1 out here, and Will Lopez.
Will winding and twisting that bat up before pulling over the shoulder.
El Caballo is en fuego today.
Just underneath the swing. Getting a taste on that as it's just inside the left baseline, but Eric is over there and he's got it inside.
That's what I mean. That's
About
that Z angle.
1.5 seconds ahead of beating Will to the base, sliding his body over there. That was a nice, easy spot. Might be difficult for some of those players to come all the way over to the line, but not for Eric.
He just makes it so simple, and it's not. He had to go a long way and a little bit diagonal, and Will Lopez is one of the fastest players in the game, and he put him out. That's why he's the best. Eric Rodriguez, back-to-back defensive MVPs. And he's looking good to be up there again this year. 2 outs.
Aaron up for the Jets.
Boy, they could use another run or 2 here. 3-run lead isn't safe.
He's got a quick nod that he was ready. Tap in front of home plate. And just underneath the swing and a little more on the outer edge. It's ball ended up telling him not to move as it was right between his legs as the catcher fetches that and gets it back to Jeremy.
Imagine standing out and pitching in this. There's another strike. But imagine having to stand out there in the sun and throw all of these pitches like they do. Kyle Kennedy and Jeremy Lopez have been warriors.
Just above and on the edge of the bat.
Edge 1 strike away now from getting out of the inning.
going to be a bouncer almost hitting Jeremy, who fell over. It's in the center. Eric going for it. Just past his outstretched fingers. And Aaron at the base. Eric mad again, punching his fist into the ground. He does not like those near misses. It just brushed out of his fingertips as he threw his body there on center, but not in time. And Aaron gets the run, taking them up to 21.
A little tit for tat there as they work the middle of the Edge defense, like the Edge have been working the middle of the Jets defense a little bit. And Eric came a long way, but you know what? Eric understands every play matters now.
This is Ricky Castaneda. He's tossed his hat back to catcher Ermos. Does not want to wear it right now. A quick nod to the ump.
And now this is huge. This is your 6th spot in the batting order. 4-run lead for the Jets and 2 outs. Let's see what Castaneda can do.
Ball just over the swing.
Castaneda in a similar situation yesterday, turned the lineup against the Thunder late.
It's going to be a popper over foul right to Mike at his feet. And apparently they do still call Ricky Little Meat.
Yeah, and you know what? We had 2 Rickies on the Jets back in the beginning. You had Castaneda and Luzica. And so I guess all the cool nicknames were taken, and so Ricky Castaneda got stuck with Little Meat.
I don't. It's going to be a nice center line on the ground in the center. Oh, just past Eric's hands again. But he's got him.
It's a big play.
Corian backing him up and pulling that out. First time Corian's getting some good hands on the ball there.
Now, I had mentioned that Miguel Tello was the front tandem mate for Eric for several years. Once they moved Miguel, Corian White became his front court mate, if you will, or front field mate, and he backed him up there, now in Edge uniform, to end the inning. That's a big out there. 4-run lead again, though. 21-17, San Antonio, Edge coming up bottom of the 5th.
I'm not really sure if I call 4 runs, though, with the Edge coming up with their last bat. A big lead.
No.
I would not be sitting easy at all. This is still worrisome at this point.
Absolutely not. This game's hanging in the balance.
Almost every single inning, if they want to end this well in their favor, they're going to have to keep creeping head runs every single inning. They can't be going back and forth.
Right, and the Edge have the last at-bats in the bottom of the 6th when we get there, and so that means, you know, like we said, enough is never enough. They want to keep adding on. Edge were down, 5 going to the last inning and tied it up. Now it's a 4-run spread, and the Edge will come up with
Corian
White, and then top of the order with Eric Rodriguez on deck.
And a quiet call from Mike. And we are ready for the pitch. And that's going to be a little low on the outside edge. Bat out in front. It's going to be a short little pop-up. See if it stays. That is going to go foul on the first base side. Little Ricky coming up for it, but I'm not sure he would have beat him.
He was looking for that coffin corner, man, right there to tuck that in maybe in with the 40-foot line and the baseline, huh, Rosita?
That looked like we saw one of those yesterday, and it worked.
They're effective. They're almost as effective as a long fly ball.
Not sure I'd want to try that on Eric's side, though. Corian's still making his way slowly up as we have some sirens in our background playing. Technically, they're not playing because they're not playing ball with us. But Corian back on up to home plate. Kind of a rotation of his head, like a frustration. I have to do this again?
Well, he came a long way to have to come all the way back.
Yeah, he was already all the way down to third base.
The Edge haven't been in very many games like this. They were in one yesterday, but it was a game where the Fire spent the whole time playing catch-up, and then they ran into that 2-hour and 15-minute time limit, so the game ended in the 4th inning. This is the first time at the World Series that they've played a full-length slobber knocker of a game in the last couple of years. They didn't have any of these last year in Beaumont.
Going to be just underneath the pitch. Corian has this unusual hold of holding the bat right out in front of him. I think he's going to take a pass here. But he holds the bat right out in front of him until after the pitch is made, then pulls it up behind his shoulder to bring it all the way forward through. So just a little bit more different.
Full count pitch coming now. Money ball.
And it's going to be a grounder right to Zach, but it bounced off his feet. And he's scrambling for it, but he's not going to outrun that.
No.
That's going to give the run to Corian.
Well, the Edge gave them one with Malheron's little mishap last inning, and the Jets give it right back. Arambula needs to make that play, and Corian White, that's the third time he scored on a ground ball this game out of the 6th spot. 21-18.
Eric Rodriguez waiting for the field to set up. Some clapping out there by David Smith. Come on, Jets, let's get into play.
Top of the Edge lineup here. Let's see if the Jets defense can hunker down now.
Eric giving a nod there to Kyle that he is ready.
They've done a good job on Eric today.
And it's going to be a little grounder over to right. Ricky's got to lay down. He's just got to get it up in time, and he does. He has got him again. Eric somersaulting over the base. He is frustrated. Hands up on his head. Walking back, he's just frustrated and not sure what to even do with his body.
Well, I have him at 1 for 6 now, and that's unusual for Eric Rodriguez. He's not sure what's going on, but he's hitting ground balls, and Castaneda and company are picking him up. 1 down.
Nick Mulhern up.
Mulhern with a chance to make up now for a little defensive miscue last time. They're in the top of the 5th.
Yep, he swerved out a little too far.
Well, and that base running too. Yes, his last at bat. Good point, Rosina. I didn't even think about that. He got called out on a bad base run.
It's going to tumble just barely into play. Ricky coming up on top
of
of that. He's got to get it in the air, and he is out. That's a double in a row for a little meat, catching those out and shutting down the Edge.
Castaneda standing tall as the guardian of the 40-foot line for the San Antonio Jets. Jet Life can feel it. They're 2 outs in the inning. They've got a 3-run lead, and now a huge spot with Corey White coming to the plate.
Still cannot sit easy.
Oh, baby, are y'all having fun yet?
Well, I know I am.
We're having a blast here, 21-18.
2 days in a row, extremely tight games, good competition, the defense picking up on each side. The grit you can feel just pouring off of them as they dig in for this win. Going to be another little grounder over to Ricky, but it's past his feet. Let's see if David can get over there in time, but no, he cannot. He's beating his hands against the grass now, angrily as he's down with his hands on the grass. Now he's walking back, hands on his head. The frustration now out on the defense.
The speed of Corey White. Once that ball trickled by Castaneda, he was too fast for David Smith. It's 21-19. Now Justin Holland to the plate as the drama builds again.
With Justin Holland up at the plate. Kennedy coming up just a little bit. That few minuscule adjustments, 1/2 inches there of the shoes.
These players practice all year long for moments like this at the World Series, and now we're in it. Kennedy to Holland, 2 outs and a 2-run game.
And that's going to be low underneath the swing, about 2 inches. Strong exhale by Kyle there. It's going to be a grounder out. Zach might not get to it in time. It's back. He's diving for it. He's slowed it down, but he doesn't have a hold of it. And that is going to be a run for Justin as he's flat out on the grass. At first base, they're putting another run up.
Somebody has got to come up and help support Zach and Ricky on those balls that just get a little bit by them. Somebody needs to plug that gap there because the Edge are getting too many ground ball runs where they're just out of reach of the 2 front guys.
So this is now a very different game with only 1 run separating.
Now it's
Aaron
21 to
C.
20. They had a chance to be out of this inning here. Aaron C can tie it. Aaron C has a walk-off this year already. That was in the Gateway tournament against the Thunder. In a game the Edge won to get to the championship game. Aaron's a clutch player.
Aaron up here at home plate. And ball a little bit high up over his swing.
21 to 20. 2 outs, bottom of the 5th. Edge up to bat. This has been a classic.
Telling Aaron to step back off the plate just a hair. And just going to be a light tap, and it is going to be fair. I'm almost sure Ricky
gotta
coming
come
up
up.
on top, and
He
Ricky
got it.
has it. That
A hat
is-
trick!
That
Hat
was
trick!
all by little Ricky.
Hat trick for Castaneda. And the Jets close out the inning with the lead. They did give up 3, but they hold a 21-20 lead as Castaneda standing large. They may call him Little Meat, but there was nothing little about him in that inning.
Definitely was a saving force there. There's a couple that were past his fingers that he couldn't get, but scrambling up there on top of things to get the job done. Edge making their way back out to the field, not quite as quickly as they have in the past. Things are starting to get a little heated here. Both teams are frustrated. They really would like to inch ahead further. These little mistakes, they're feeling it. They can tell every tiny minuscule thing could be the difference between a win and playing again.
This has been one big, long tug of war going on here, and really nobody has gained the upper hand. The Jets lead, but by the slimmest of margins, 21 to 20, and they'll have the top of their lineup up here in the top of the 6th. This is a chance for Jeremy Lopez and the Jets to take that step, to get to the championship game. You know, the one thing they haven't done is get to the championship game undefeated. Every time they've made it, they've been the team that's had to win too. They've got a chance to flip the script on all that right now, top of the 6th. Here we go.
But to get it done, they're going to have to get a few more runs on top, being that they are the away team. They don't know what the Edge is going to do that final at bat, so they're going to have to stack it in their favor. Here we go. We are ready. Jeremy with the face mask on. Mike has called the okay from the field. And we are ready for the pitch with Zach Arambula. And just underneath the swing.
Kyle says Nick Justin. He's telling that right side to be ready.
But it's going high pop up into center, bouncing over past Tello. And Justin's, nope, he has got it. He was on it. They're calling that safe, I believe. Saying he did not have clear control of it. Justin had his body on top of it, his chest, but he tried to lift it up off the ground in his hands, but it looked like his body was keeping his hands from lifting it.
Holland did all he could right there. But that ball was in the air so long, and you could hear it when it hit and bounced, that he just could not get it up in time. 2-run lead for the Jets. And David Smith coming to the plate in the moment.
We do have a call for another ball again, of course. These heavy hits, they are not going to last long at all.
Well, that ball took a pounding. I got to give credit to that ball, and there's a Fonzie ball. First Fonzie ball we've heard of the tournament. They must have run out of good Denver balls here.
Jeremy holding the ball up for the outfield to hear the tone of that ball before the pitch. David lining up his base checks. It's going to go a grounder over into left. Eric running for it. He's got his body cut, and he does have him out. He did. He scrambled just a little bit there, but he got it in time.
Unbelievable. He got to the baseline again. That's the second or third time we've seen him cut over there and make a play. He's probably the only one who plays his position that could have made that play. Eric Rodriguez has been edge strong on defense. As much as he struggled at the plate, he's done everything he's needed to do over there.
On defense.
Here we go. Again, first again.
2-run game now, and Axel Cox, he got a big hit his last time up, crushed one. And
Just underneath the swing. Nice follow through. A little bit low.
2 strikes. They got to remain focused here. Jeremy's done a good job. I think he struck out 2 batters all game long that I've counted. 3 maybe.
Underneath the swing again.
3 strikes now.
Needs to make this to bring Will back up.
Oh, this is a big pitch. This is Axel Cox, one of your stars.
And that is going to be a
Missed him.
strike.
Inopportune time for a strikeout, really, and Jeremy hadn't had one in several innings. And now, with only 1 run on the board so far in this inning and a 2-run precarious lead, it's up to the red-hot Will Lopez.
Couple twists of the bat round and round, and then shoulders round and round for Will.
Looking ahead to the bottom of the 6th, the edge will have Corian Whiten in the top of the order.
And it's going to be a little over the pitch. They're doing a time for the noisy vehicles passing by for just a few seconds.
Yeah, you don't want any noise in for interference at this point in the game. That's a good timeout, and Mike granted it right away.
Catching a little taste of that, but that is going to go foul as it sits on the line about 5 feet short of the 40-foot mark.
2 strikes now. Fans and spectators are now thronged all around, aren't they, Rosina?
They are pretty much everywhere except for directly behind us. Will's now made his way back up to home plate. It's starting to look a little dug out there by that plate by this time of the week. There's definitely the traditional little holes for the feet have been permanently grooved in.
Good
Thunker
hit.
out there into left. It's past Eric. Corey is out there, bounced over his body, and that is going to give Will the run. Tumbling over that base, splitting it in 2, and falling spread eagled right between the 2 pieces. Just not getting Corey laying down in front of it, but it bounced just barely over him.
That is a monstrously important insurance run there. There's 1, and it's 23-20 now. That'll bring Almanza back up to the plate. He made the most of his moment yesterday in the 6th inning, winning the game to bring the Jets to this point. 23-20. There's still 2 outs. Top of the 6th, Almanza, double-A as they call him.
It was a perfectly placed hit there for Will. Aaron up at home plate, digging in a little bit harder, getting first base as he points to it. Slow exhale.
They need more still, I think.
And then it's going to be a strike. They definitely need more on the board than that.
Jeremy's telling Aaron to just stay there. He liked that swing.
It's going to be a little grounder over on left. I don't think Eric's going to make that one this time. It's a little out ahead of him. He's stumbling. He has his feet on it. He is safe.
Whoa,
Eric
ran away
angry,
from him.
grabbing the ball and slamming it into the ground. But Aaron with the run. We said they needed more, and he pulled through.
Oh, just out of reach, Rosina.
Eric was scrambling for that, but it was just out ahead of him, just enough faster that he was really scrambling. Had to literally throw his feet out in front of him to slow it down. Just a matter of a half a split second.
24-20, and what do you know? It's the bottom part of the Jets lineup doing it again. Lopez and Almanza, and now Castaneda has an opportunity.
That's first. And third as Jeremy adjusts the strap on his face mask. And we are ready. Just over his swing. It's going to be a short little foul over to the Jet bench.
Castaneda again has been a defensive stalwart for the Jets today, just as he was
Definitely
yesterday.
say he's been their defensive player for this game. Just over the swing. Ooh, that's going to be another, and that is going to bring the Edge up with only a 4-run deficit.
3 runs in the inning for the Jets, but also a couple of strikeouts in that inning. Edge chasing 4 to tie, 5 to win, 6-1-2 coming up in the batting order. Corian White, Eric Rodriguez, Nick Mulheron, the first 3 scheduled hitters. Now we're going to see if the Jets have the killer instinct to go where they have not gone before, which is an undefeated championship Saturday.
So they are in a huddle over there on their bench side. They're going to have to go out there and dig in with some of the hardest defense that they've ever played. Down 4 runs. Yeah, Lupe Perez from the bench telling them this is the time.
This Friday game has bedeviled the Jets a couple of times before. They lost a 30-28 game that was very similar to this in 2019 in the undefeated game. And then, of course, you and Mr. Matt Wallace called that 12-10 game a couple years ago with the Thunder. And a lot of these Edge players, of course, were in those games as well.
They were.
So here we go again.
This is going to come down to some really scrappy defensive plan, getting into position, preciseless. They can't afford a single split-second mistake. For the Edge, they're going to have to not run out of the baseline. They're going to have to probably get more pop-ups than they have. They're going to have to really place these balls and really mean business when they're running to the bases.
And they are pitching now. Kyle is pitching with a new ball he hasn't used before in this tournament. That's that Fonzie Madrano design ball. Let's see if it affects him. Jeremy Lopez did have 2 strikeouts using it, but there was also some good contact from the Jets. Let's see how and if it affects Kyle.
So we have Corian White up at the plate.
He's been
got
hitting
his
ground
base
balls.
checks.
He's been hitting seeing eye ground balls, man. Somebody's got to cut one off if he does it again.
Just underneath an outside edge of the swing.
Go, Kyle, pitch it, baby.
And just over the swing by about 2.5 inches. Kyle walking up to home plate to retrieve the ball.
Wonder if he'll take this here.
I
We'll
think
see.
he's going to take it. He's not adjusted his stance at all. And a clap as it goes by.
And Kyle just needs to take a deep breath. Those first two pitches weren't what he wanted.
High pop-up. Not sure if that's not going to be fair. That is foul. Ricky coming up on that.
Ricky was on his horse. Corian was running like the wind. Mike Woodard had to wait for the ball to come down to see what he was going to do to make the call, and he called it as quickly as he could. He called it foul.
So we have Corian coming very slowly back up to home plate. He was basically already to third base. Again, their catcher is Braden Rodriguez. You have Eric Rodriguez there waiting in the batter's circle, ready for his chance.
Eric will be on deck. He'll bat next. His longtime friend and Teammate Corian White at the plate right now, trying to start a rally for the Edge in the bottom of the 6th.
Corian picking up the bat from in front of home plate. Holding it straight out in front of him with a slow, long exhale. And ready for the pitch. High pop up over to left. Zach already running for that
Yeah,
area. It's
just
gonna up
landed
short.
tough
He's got to
play.
come forward. He's
No
not
way.
there in time. That will be a run for Corian.
No way, that's just a tough play. He hung it up way up there, and by the
It was an
time...
error too long. Zach was trying to set up, but it ended up landing far in front of him, so he had to come forward.
By the time that landed, Corian was only a few steps away from the base. There's one. It's 24-21, now up to the top, and Eric Rodriguez has a chance to make up for all the frustration he's endured at the plate today. I have him at 1 for 6, but it doesn't matter. A 2 for 7 here would be huge.
Mike calling it ready. Kyle telling him it was on him. And ball over the swing.
Adjust my prediction. It's going to take 25 to win this game.
And just barely under it. I think it's a little late to change your prediction now, DB.
Who says?
Taking the pass on that. Kyle with a strong exhale. High pop up over into center. It's going to be right around Axel area. It's bouncing still, and he's got. Oh, he has him out. It bounced up on 2 bounces into his hand, right straight to Axel.
What a
nice
play!
put out.
What a play by Axel Cox! But hold on a second, both.
Oh, they're checking. They're saying but I'm pretty sure there was 2 bounces there.
Hold on.
He's double checking.
Well, if that was 1 bounce, it's a double play.
Well, that's what they're calling to double check with. They are checking.
I don't think so. I think that was 2, but
We will see.
oh, how big would this be if they counted that a double play for Axel Cox?
He's gone out and conferring with out in the field or volunteers here.
Mike Woodard's going to make the right call here, and he'll take as long as he needs to do it.
So still conferring out here.
So you believe he was definitely out because
Well, he was
for
definitely out.
the way the Edge reacted, they thought maybe he had been safe. This is going to be
No, he was definitely
the
out.
question is it 1 out or 2 outs? They just
At
implemented
this
this new rule this year. There's been a couple of them at this World Series. Casey Krause did it for the Fire. Drew Burnett did it for Austin.
I thought it was 2. It could have been my over exuberance. I thought it bounced up. We're still checking. Mike's checking with the first base judge.
Did he call the double play? Let's see.
Mike's saying one out.
Okay, he said 1 out. All right. So Mike did only call it 1 out. I was looking over to the scorer's table for some clarification. 1 out. It's still
That
a huge
would've been-
play.
That was a great play.
He just
need
got-
to maintain that momentum. Might be too long of a pause out in the field for the defense. Need to keep that momentum going. Nick Mulheron up at the plate.
Wow, still a 3-run game, but now 1 out.
It's going to be a high foul over behind the camera out on the right. Past the tent that the Sirens have put up out here behind the Jets. Big shout out for the Sirens, the first all-women's team.
They did not win a game, but they completed the World Series, and they had a short roster. So, you know, kudos to them, and they can keep improving.
Short in the year as
They're
well.
going to be right in their backyard next year in St. Louis.
And we are ready for the pitch. And that's going to be a strike as it goes underneath the bat. See Jeremy pacing over there on the Jets bench, taking a pass here.
He's got a swing now.
Bat out
One
in
and
front
two
of
the
him.
count.
It's going to be a popper foul over behind the Jets again.
Full count now. Money pitch coming up to Nick Mulherron. 1 out, 3-run lead for the Jets in the bottom of the 6th.
Full count. Nick wiping his hands off there a little bit before getting him back up on at the ready. And that's going to be foul as it tips and drops down. And that's going to be a strike for Nick Mulherron.
Struck him out. 2 down, 1 to go if you're the Jets defense. 1 out away from the biggest win in team history, which would put them into the championship game. 1 win away, but they've got to finish the deal now. They've got the champs on the ropes.
Corey White with a strong exhale as he swings the bat back and forth from the front to the back of home plate.
Well, if you're a Jets fan, you know that Corey can't tie it with 1 swing. The best he could do is draw him within 1. Justin Howland on deck. This thing isn't over, folks. Don't go anywhere yet.
Having him back off the plate just a hair. Bat up at the ready. It's going to tip back right over to our table. Rolled that forward just a bit with my foot. It had already come to a standstill. I was not assisting at that point. Strong grip by Corey. Getting a piece of it. It's going to be up short. Just
Ricky.
it is going to be fair. Ricky coming up to it, but he's already at the base, and that is a run for Corey White and the edge.
That time it was a little too short for Ricky. It's a 2-run game now, 24-22, and Justin Howland coming to the plate as the tension increases another notch here.
You can hear the edge chanting and calling for Justin from their bench. Justin nodding his head.
And Howland has struck out a couple of times today. He also hit probably the longest ball of the game earlier.
Bat up at the ready. And just under the swing. Kyle asking him to open him up just a hair. It's going to be another strike. Kyle a little upset with that there.
See if he takes one here.
He is going to take this pitch.
There it is. So they got 2 strikes to work with. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. Jets by 2, trying to close this out.
And that's going to be another strike as it bounces back over to the scorekeeper's table, and it's all going to come down to this.
We have gone as far as we can go in this game. Full count, 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. Jets lead 24-22.
Justin relaxing a little bit more and then regripping. And ready. Getting a solid thunker out into right. It's going to be past Aaron, bouncing over his head, and that's not going to do it. He is safe. Only a 1-run difference now.
Money pitch for Kyle Kennedy. Great swing for Justin Holland. The full count connection. 1-run game now, still 2 outs.
We cannot win on a tie, so if the Jets are going to hold them, this is where they have to stop it. Aaron C. up to bat, looking to break that tie to keep the edge alive.
Jets back line needs to be ready here. Aaron C., he's not the fastest player on the edge, not that he's by any means slow, but he can really pop it. They're going to have a little bit of time at least. Will Lopez, I would be ready if I was Will. Axel Cox as well.
Strong exhale by Kyle. That's going to be slamming over on the ground very hard toward the Jets and the camera bench.
Down the first base line. He didn't get around on that one. One strike now.
If you're a nail biter, this is it. It's going to be way under the swing.
2 strikes again. Now we'll see if he takes this one.
He's got his bat down at this point. He's going to take a pass on this.
So here we go again, now down to 2 pitches here. Tying run at the plate. Corian White would be the potential winning run on deck.
It's going to be right out into center. This is going to do it. It is past Axel, and there's nobody out behind him. Aaron headed down to first base, tumbling over it. That is going to tie the game up for the Edge. You can hear the cheers over there, the hands up as they clap. This is exactly what they were waiting for.
3 straight 2-out runs to tie the game. 24-24. Clutch pitching by Kyle Kennedy. And now Corian White, the man who has never lost a championship since he started playing, 4 with the Thunder, 1 with the Edge, has a chance to be the hero and walk it off. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th, tied at 24. It all comes down to this.
Quiet, please. Let's go! That's the opposite of quiet. Right, here we go. First.
Corian White.
All the speed in the world.
Got another
And to
siren
add a
going.
little more tension to the situation, we'll pause for a siren.
First thing.
Corian winding up the bat and ready. It's going to be foul as it catches a little tick of that.
Corian White started in 2017, did not start in West Palm Beach. Took over the starting job in 2018 for the Thunder and has been great ever since.
It's been a little low under that.
2 strikes.
Corian holding his hand up to Kyle. Hold on. Regripping of the bat. He's got it up over his shoulder. I believe this will be a pass. Just standing at ease. that's going to be
Ooh,
a
that was way low.
strike.
That sounded very
it
low.
It was low. Corian kind of swung around with his right
we
hand
go
and caught
again.
himself on the ground.
Full count, this time with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th and a tie game. This is as far as we can go.
It's going to be a short little pop-up foul over here to Mike Woodward as he stays alive.
We'll do it again.
Coming back up to home plate. The tension is on everywhere in the field, on the bench members, all in anticipation. It's going to be a short little pop-up. Zach running for the ball. Nope,
he missed it.
He's missed it, and they've got the run. That is going to clinch it for the Edge.
Walk it off, Corian White. The kid, 22 years old, from Indianapolis, Indiana, younger brother of Corey White, walks it off. 25-24, the Edge come up with 5 in the bottom of the 6th to come back and win it. They will move on to the championship game to try to defend their title. The San Antonio Jets still alive. Jet Life still has life. They will play in the winners bracket final at 8:00 p.m. What a game, Rosie.
Edge live, baby. Ice in the veins, DB.
What a game.
That was Aaron C. coming up behind us. You can hear the enjoyment and happiness there from the rest of the Edge team as they take this narrowly. They cannot sit too easy, though. That was a little bit of they had to fight and come back for that. I think that's the hardest they've ever had to fight right there.
One sight of a champion is the ability to bounce back. It's called resiliency. Every great team has it. The Edge fell down, they stayed down, they were down by 4, and they come up with several 2-out runs, 4 of them in fact. Count them. 4 of them, Justin Holland, Aaron C., Corian White. Before that it was Corey, and they will advance 1 game, 1 win away from defending their title. The Jets took them as far as they could today. An instant classic and a treat to sit here and call with you, Rosina Foster. We've still got more ball to go. Are you having fun yet?
Oh, this is incredible. Two amazing games this week to call. It's always fun to see a game go back and forth. You know that they're out there, they're working hard. It's not an easy win for them. They're not just walking away from it. It's not a slaughter. This is them putting forth every effort that they have. They're going out there, grit and determination, and the teams did it. Just one come out a little ahead of the other.
Corian White plays hero for the day, and the Edge strong, headed to the championship game. We will be back under the lights tonight. 8 p.m. approximate start time is scheduled, and we'll see who the Jets will play